Hello, everyone. Welcome. Does this count as like the 71st? I guess it does, right? Because it's another episode, right? So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure.
all right, welcome to the second, but like we've been doing it every week. So it's like, oh, it's the 71 week. That's how I feel, but that's not true,
Uh,
right?
that's why you miss a week or two somewhere, so that you can
We
just
have we have
reflect.
missed a week or two somewhere. So this
That's
is,
exactly. That's why I said. That's why you do that, so that this is like
you're
like
catching up.
70. Yeah, right. So now we can like do like two more weeks, or it is like two episodes a week, and then we're caught up.
All right, but welcome to the 71st episode of the HSBG podcast. I'm here with my constant co-host Shady Bunny. Shady, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Collins. How are you doing?
Good. Now, there might be a question of like, why is there another podcast? It's because the last one, right? We had with the devs, we kind of discussed quests and demon rework, and I kind of thought personally that was going to be most of the new patch. I thought, oh, we're covering almost everything. And then they release the patch notes the next day, and I'm going through the patch notes. I'm like, wait, there's even more. There's so much more to talk
They
about
didn't give
besides
us
just
everything.
yeah.
Oh my god,
They
that's ridiculous.
they
Okay.
literally didn't give us the whole patch to talk about. I can't believe they did that. But because of that, I'm like, I don't want to not talk about some of the changes because I do think next week, like once the patch is out and stuff, we're gonna have a lot to talk about. Just
Yeah.
from playing through the patch, right? Playing through the quest, playing through some of the minion changes and things. We're gonna have a lot. It's gonna be a different discussion than if we have a conversation today. So
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about it, kind of say how we feel, as well as like there's some other things that I think we'll miss if we don't talk about it now. Just some um, little tidbits or what changes, what's important, and it's also helpful to just get a better overview of what you should be looking for before the patch drops, right? Because I do think day one is going to be hectic, and if you have a little bit of knowledge of
Yeah.
what you think people are going to do, it's going to help as well. So I did want to go through a little bit more about the patch. We're not really going to. I mean, do you want to talk about your week? Feel free, Shady. Like, you want to talk? Go for
I
it.
won some games. I lost some games. I will probably do the same next week. So that's the
I
short version. Yeah.
I have no opinions because I don't care whether I win or lose right now. So it's been like since Lobby Legends started. This has been like the only time where I have not cared about my MMR really, right? Because I'm so far away that I just don't care. And since it's getting reset, like I'm, what, all of my accounts are gonna reset to the same point, so it doesn't really matter whether I play more or less on it. Like it's still getting reset to the same point, so there's really no like reason to play more or like win or lose. It doesn't really matter. If I could like somehow gain 2,000 MMR in a day, like okay, there's a reason.
You don't need 2,000
I
MR.
do. I do. I
Yeah,
do.
I know you don't.
I need like 1,500, like
Yeah, okay,
realistically.
that's not 2,000, but yeah,
It's the
okay.
same. It's
I
the
hear you.
same.
I
It's
hear
the
you.
same. If I can gain a 1,500
That's
in a
a rough
day,
one. That's a
like
rough.
yeah, I okay, then maybe. But
It's
that's
not a day, right? Like this is Saturday, so
I,
you'll have Sunday, you'll have Monday,
I'm
you'll have
not doing that though. I'm not gonna torture myself.
Tuesday,
The
and
the
that's your
first the first
stuff.
the first season I did right, but it really doesn't like. Let's say I do that all that mental torture and I make it and I lose the qualifier, then like I'm gonna be kicking myself. I'm not doing that. So I'm kind of done for this month. I've had like 5 shots or so, so
That's fair.
I can take a break. It's fine.
You will allow the other people a shot as well. That's fair.
Yeah, whatever. It's fine. We need to move on, Shady. There's too much for
You
us to be
shall be
just
moving. Let's
dilly
move. Go.
dally.
New stuff. New stuff. We
Oh man, but I wanted to just go through pretty much most of it. We're probably gonna not spend as much time on quests and the demon rework, but
yeah.
generally just kind of everything here. But first thing, season pass. I do think we should talk about
Sure.
like your thoughts on it, right? Because we haven't really said any like public stuff. I've said stuff on my stream. I'm sure maybe you have
Yeah.
as well, right?
Right.
When people are asking you, but don't don't really haven't really said like, oh, what are my
Yeah.
thoughts or
What I wanted to do for last podcast, because
uh
you had it up, right, as a visual, but for the people that were listening, it's more like, oh, they're not going to talk about it or what, right? So at the start of the podcast, I forgot. I wanted to say,
oh
hey guys,
yeah,
big
me
heads up,
too. I also
yeah,
forgot.
right,
Yeah, I
because they're
forgot
going to
to.
be, because that's what you're tuning in
It's
for
because of the
mostly.
name thing. It totally
Yeah.
derailed me. I was like, any plans I had, I was like, oh wait, I have to fix the name. I messed up.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. When you said John, I was like, this is John. It's like, no, that's not John. Like you had me for like half a second. I was like, what? No, that's not true. That's not true. So, anyways, yeah. You want to go first or what?
No, you can take it away,
All right.
man.
So we've got the what it boils down to, right? Like let's not kid ourselves. The big change is that you no longer have, yeah, for anyone who's not aware yet, right? So when season 2 hits, you will no longer have the option to purchase the perks with gold. Um, the What that boils down to even further is that if you now want to have 4 heroes as an option to play the game, you will have to spend money. You will not be able to earn that through any in-game currency. That's the really big change when it comes to the season pass. So we have lots of thoughts of that, of course. I would say the first one for me is that it's not fun, right? Especially as a streamer, like this is my livelihood. I want the game to do well, and it's hard to imagine that this is going to expand the viewer base. So
Uh-huh.
that's the first concern. The first concern is that, let's say we retain a lot of people, because I mean, Hearthstone Battlegrounds is a good game. I'm not going to go anywhere. I think a lot of people that enjoy the game are also not going to go anywhere, but you're going to lose some people, right, that want to stay free to play and also want the perks. And you're going to, in my opinion, right, the way how I see it, it's going to be harder to recruit new players, because it's easy to say, oh, so if I want extra heroes, I'm going to have to pay for it. It's a bit harder to recommend to your friends if it's not completely free. Now, the big thing that I also like to point out here is people say it's pay to win, and I don't like that. That doesn't mean that I'm saying, oh, it's free to play. So I'll make it very clear. This is not me saying, you don't gain an advantage by paying money. Of course you do, right? But pay to win for me indicates that there's no cap. I spend money and I can keep spending more money and I keep getting stronger than people that are spending less money than me.
There's
So we're
always
talking
a cap, to be fair.
not honestly, right? Okay, we'll talk reasonable cap. We'll say like,
No,
and
I'm not
we'll
doing
say like
that.
$500,000 or something, right? If your cap is $500,000 of whatever, right? Then sure, there's your cap.
Yeah, but
But
it is a cap. I'm not gonna.
yeah, sure. Let's put the cap at $500,000 for a video game, Collins. Sure. For me, that's no cap, right? I'm not gonna try.
All
But
right.
anyways, you get what
Yeah,
you
I
see what
get
I'm
you. I
getting
get
at,
you.
right? Like a true pay to win, in my opinion, is like I can pay for a buff that makes my army stronger than your army, or some mobile game where I can just buy more units than your units. I can speed up production. I can skip all kinds of progression by just paying money, paying money, paying money. So I think using the term pay to win for someone that has been exposed to true pay to win, to be like, that's not it. This to me feels more like a subscription model, or like pay to compete, pay to play, whatever you want. Um, it's maybe more helpful to even look at it as a subscription based model that sort of has your um, like you can try it out for free and then you unlock all the features when you pay for it. So that's, I mean, I don't have to do the whole thing. Like we can bounce off each other, right? Because I'm not going to do my whole spiel, but those are the two things that I'll start with.
All
I'm
right.
concerned for the growth of the game, and I don't think it's true pay to win. I think anyone that's been exposed to like true pay to win says this is not it. But obviously you do have to pay, right? So if you want the 4 heroes, so for me it's more like I said, the subscription based model or pay to compete, or however you want to frame it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, for me, it's for me, it's pay for Lobby Legends if you're a competitor. Like I don't see why I would do it otherwise personally. Like I pay because I'm like, well, I'm in Lobby Legends, so I need the four heroes. But if I
But
wasn't, I
yeah,
wouldn't. Yeah.
yeah, I just want to clarify. Collins means just purely for himself.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you can imagine someone who is not going for Lobby Legends paying for four heroes, right?
Well, honestly, I okay. So here's my other thing. I think with this change, if you aren't like top 200 or so, I don't think you need to care about MMR. Like there's no real benefit to MMR in my opinion. Like there's like besides like the this placement or like if you're like top 200, yeah, sure. I definitely think there's some notoriety and like if you're trying to like be a streamer or anything like that, like being high MMR is like super valuable. But other than that, like if you're like just casual or semi-casual and you're like floating around like 7K or 6K, like I don't really think like the difference is like that much where you need to be like I need the four heroes per se. Like I think you can skate around with two. It's just that if you are like trying to compete, then the four heroes is like super duper important. Like I don't think if you're trying to compete for the top spots, playing with two heroes is like reasonable at all. Like I think you have to have the four heroes. They did talk about the hero balance, but I just don't think that's feasible or even possible with their current like their current hero philosophy of balancing around both high and low MMR, right? Like so, uh, I just think it's not super necessary to have the four unless you care about MMR, and I think you should only care about MMR if you're like bouncing around the top 200 per se. What's your thoughts on that?
My immediate thought to that is that if you are 6, 7K, I think you only really get there by caring at least a little bit about your MMR. I think when you're throwing,
No,
you might, right? But once again, you need to look at everyone, right? 6, 7K is
it's
that's
high.
not
It's high. I
that's
know it is,
yeah,
but there are
like
there are rank floors. That's the thing, right?
yeah, but you
So
still need to get
up to 6K. So I think you can get to 6K like AFK, like just have a couple of good games in a row, right? Like
there.
it's five, it's rank floors per 500. So you
Yeah,
just
yeah,
need,
but you lose internal, right? So it's not
yeah,
like
okay,
there's
that's
a rank
true.
floor. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, okay. The internal MMR, I guess that is
'cause,
a good
like
point.
in so guys, like maybe this is like heartbreaking to some of you who have not realized this, right? But there are no actual rank floors. The only thing that really matters is your internal MMR. That's the number that determines how much MMR you gain when you win, how much MMR you lose when you lose. That's the only number that really matters. So if you get to a rank floor, let's say you're like chilling on 6K, you top eight 7 in a row, that internal number is like, this is like plummeting, right? So then you get those situations where you get a first and suddenly you start getting like 80 points instead of 100. You get a top eight, you start losing 110, 120 instead of 100. So yeah, if
And
you care
that's
about
why you
MMR,
shouldn't care.
no, no, no. I mean, so I agree with the philosophy, right? The philosophy is, but that's almost at any level. I would say even at the very very highest level, focusing on a number isn't great. It's more focus on your skill as a player, develop yourself as a player, and enjoy the process, right? But it's hard. It's hard to not look at the number. It's hard to not care about the number, right? The number is sort of your representation. Like it's on your friend list. You feel, that's nice and cool. Like I'm 8K now. I identify as an 8K player. I lost. The number went down. Oh, I don't like it. I identified as an 8K player. I'm no longer an 8K player. So
See,
like I think it's all yeah. So please 1 second. Like I think the theory is nice, right? Like don't care about the number. I think in practice it's really hard.
yeah, and you guys are feel free to ask questions, and if we happen to read it, I'll try reading some. We'll address them, right? But someone asked, have they confirmed the cost? Is it 15 for it? The cost will change per region, so it does adapt to regions. I think someone said in Canada, in Canadian dollars, it will be 20 for them, and I was like, oh, I
Right.
didn't know that, but
But
it
that depends on the value of the currency, right? I
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
if the
So for NA for EU, I believe I don't know all of EU, but for you, right, it should be 15. Um, and are you allowed to talk about ringstones? Yeah, feel free. Like that's there's no we don't really have a barrier here. I mean, be respectful, of
yeah,
course, but
exactly.
talk about
Keep it
what you want.
simple, but yeah, we can talk about anything really.
Uh,
Yeah, so and also something I wanted to add on is while again in theory it doesn't really matter your MMR, the feeling that you are playing against opponents and they have an advantage over you is just not fun.
yeah.
So I think if you are playing and like you said, if you are just running it down, you're at 3K, you're at 4K, you're like whatever, right? I queue it up, I get APM pirates, I'm having fun. I don't get it, I concede, sure, whatever. You're not really gonna care too much, right? You queue up, you see if you high roll. If you don't high roll, you're out, and you go next. If you enjoy the game that way, perfect, go for it. I don't think the perks do anything. Now, once you get, right, like you said, those numbers 6K, 7K, I think if you get there as a player, it's going to be a really, really bad feeling that, you at least care enough to get good enough to push the 6, 7K. You are not going to enjoy the feeling
Okay.
that you're at a strict
Yeah.
disadvantage.
I can say maybe once you get past the rank floor MMRs, like maybe 7K, I would say, then maybe you start caring. Because I think
So
at
that's
6K, like all the floors, like once all the floor MMRs will have levers and stuff like that with this change. So once you get out of that and you're like comfortably out of that section of MMR, then maybe that's the point where you care. So maybe
mm.
it's a lot higher than top 200. It's like out of rank floor rating, I guess.
I I think honestly, just climbing in general, I think that it really depends on the person.
Yeah,
I think
obviously.
Yeah, but you can have people at 4K that are gonna really care about their MMR, and they're
Yeah,
gonna get
yeah, yeah.
upset
I mean,
when they lose MMR, and they're gonna be happy when they gain MMR. So exactly, it's um that's essentially it. Anyways, like we don't want to spend too much time getting into like the super nitty gritty of everything. We got a huge patch ahead of us. But I do want to make sure we cover most of our thoughts that we had on this, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
I think this
yeah,
is like this might be the most important topic for many
yeah,
of the listeners, right? So we don't want to
exactly.
like skip through it, but obviously you
Mhm.
don't want to spend 2 hours just like this isn't a good change. Um, but I once again I do agree with your initial point in terms of the future, right, of
Yeah,
BGs with the change. Like that's probably where what bothers me the most about it, right? Because um, the game, like you're not gonna lose everyone day one, right? Like
no,
that's
no,
very unlikely, right? But you might get people frustrated about the change slowly, and especially like the people that are playing with two perks, like don't wanna like day one pay for the four perks, right? So they'll play with two, they'll get frustrated on two, and they'll be like, this I don't even want to play anymore, since I know I'm gonna have to be paying for the future, right? And so you might not even see like that huge of a drop off the first month, right? But like, what does next season look like, right? What does 4 months down the line? What does 8 months down the line look like? What does a year look like, right? That's the kind of thing I worry about, and for sure, people are gonna take a hit, or like streamers are gonna take a hit. That's what I mean. Like the viewer, there'll be less players, less viewers. Like that's it's hard to say viewers are gonna
yeah.
rise with this change. Like that's
Well, the one argument you could make is like people who don't want to pay to play, they might still watch, right? And watch instead of
sure.
playing. But yeah,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, right? Overall, probably fewer people involved with BGs, right?
Yeah.
Not a mass exodus, right? I don't
Yeah.
want to make this dramatic. But like if you start charging, you're probably just going to have fewer people. That's just how it is. Like there's more people playing when it's free. That's it, pretty
So,
much.
like for me, I worry about the health of the game and how it looks down the road. Like not next week, right? But like in the future, and how the community members are responding. Because it feels like a permanent change. Another thing that bothered me was, I guess, the time frame, if that's the best way I can put it, where it felt like when this was announced, everything was already set in stone. There was nothing you can do, like to the community members, like here's the changes. It's coming next week. No discussion. Like you know what I mean? Like, um,
Sure.
and that kind of that I would have liked maybe a longer time from announcement to change, and like maybe some back and forth between the developers and the community member, because we really haven't heard that. Like they kind of knew it wasn't going to be a popular announcement to make, right? So they kind of gave like, oh, there's only a smaller window of time, so that you can't really fully digest it before it gets released. And I would have liked maybe more discussion, or some back and forth or so. Like they even had the FAQ, and that's not something they do often, if ever,
Mhm.
where they're like, "Oh, let's let's answer some of your questions," right? Like, because they know it's going to be confusing, and maybe unpopular, so they're just trying to like preemptively address some of the questions they think the community will have, right? So I would have loved to like have a community member ask the question and they address it, like like, so there's some type of discussion there, but it kind of feels like all of that was thrown away because they knew it might be unpopular. And sure, like they probably talked to people before they made this, but I would have liked to see what the community response was, and they talk to them and just have some type of heartfelt answer to that. So that was another thing I didn't really love.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like,
I
if
know this isn't my thing. I know this is not.
yeah, like, I feel like in the ideal world, sure,
Yeah,
but,
yeah, I
like,
know.
in general, the voice of the
It's
community,
gonna be rage. I know. I'm aware.
yeah, it's
I'm
not gonna
aware.
be something you can't really have a
I,
dialogue, right? It's just
I'm
yeah,
definitely talking perfect world scenarios, but
yeah,
it's just something
so,
that irked
yeah,
me.
I
I
don't
do
yeah,
understand that maybe
okay,
not the right reaction,
alright.
or don't listen to me. I'm just saying, like, I would have loved to hear this. I would have loved it. I would have been like, hey, uh,
I was
but
like, "It'd be nice," and then the community member's like, "Sure, we understand. Let's have a nice, civil
yeah,
dialogue
yeah,
instead of,
they
oh my
wouldn't.
god, I
Yeah,
can't believe it, the charging button is so literally evil," right? Like, that's what you get, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
for
yeah,
sure.
uh, yeah, you have something else, or
No, overall, like
I,
it
I've got a
sucks.
few closing points
Yeah,
though.
overall, it sucks, right, that you have to pay, and it doesn't even matter what the price is per se. Like, obviously not overpriced, but even if you made this like $1, you'd still have a, like, maybe not as much, but you'd still have like the same
Some
essence
people,
of people just not happy about the functioning change. Like some people don't even care about the change, but like this opens the door, right? That's what they're gonna say, right? For
yeah,
more
yeah,
things like this, right? So, um, not happy about it. Very sad. Very disappointed. But it's like
right.
it
So,
sucks because
yeah,
it took them too long to monetize, right? Like that's
yeah,
the essence. And then when they did monetize, whatever their skins and stuff wasn't enough of a pool, right? Like you have you seen the legendary skins and stuff like that? Like maybe
yeah,
if
yeah.
all the skins were like that
That's
quality,
it.
right? And there were like animated um, emotes. Your boards were playable while you're doing your turns. Things like that. Like maybe you might have seen a much more community adoption of the cosmetics, but like the ones that they did add apparently weren't good enough, right? So they came to the conclusion that perks, paying for 4 heroes was going to be enough of a pool. And they are correct with that, right? Because, like, let's say you took out everything else and it was just the perks. That was it. Would I still pay for it? Probably. So they
Yeah,
do
yeah,
understand that that is what is going to get people to pay for the pass. But it sucks that is, due to the how they've, treated BGs and cosmetics monetization, this is the road we're on. That'd be my final point.
Yep. Yeah. Some more stuff I wanted to say before we leave. This topic is um, similar, right, to what you just said. Where I think the mistake indeed was like earlier, right? Like we're in this situation now because like a lot of okay, so to unpack this, you'll have arguments where people say like, oh, this is just pure greed. Hearthstone makes enough money; they don't need to charge, and I genuinely don't believe that's true. Now, I don't think BG's is profitable at the moment. I don't actually think that. Yeah, like maybe it is, right? Whatever,
it
but
might not. I think you're right.
but the fact that we're even thinking that it might not be profitable, right? That is so it's not worth their time. Like even if it's profitable, not worth their time. So if you have a company and part of your business is just not turning a profit and you keep pumping resources into that, at some point you're just going to say, okay, well, we're going to have to let that part of the business go. So I do want to point that out. But we're in this spot, I think, like you mentioned, because there was not enough focus early on monetization. Now I don't want to pretend like I'm a economy god and like I'll teach you guys all business and how to make money, etc. But it does feel like it took too long, and then because the comparison with TFT will be made, right? Of course,
Right.
people will say you don't have to charge money. TFT didn't charge money, therefore don't charge money, right? TFT gets buy on cosmetics. You should get buy on cosmetics. That's what people, especially the very headstrong people, they're going to be like, no, 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 I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. TFT does it without charging. You should be able to as well. TFT has that big advantage that their cosmetics are the little legends, right? And the boards. You take your board into every single game. You have a fancy board in Battlegrounds. First of all, I don't think they're as fancy as the TFT boards.
So no.
TFT boards do some really cool things. You have your golden stuff that changes it, etc. But whatever. That's not the same when you play BGs. But the boards, whatever. That's there enough. It's really the hero skins, right? Like you get a skin for a hero. If you are casual, you might not see it that week. That's crazy, right? Like you buy a skin, you might not see it the whole week. Like we play all day, and sometimes you don't see a hero all day, 2 days.
Yeah.
You might not get a toggle for 2 straight days, and you play all day. So as a casual, you can buy a skin and literally not see it that week. So that model is just not as good as the little legend skin. The legend skin, I play with that thing every single game. And if I want to switch it out, it's on demand, it's here, it's there. So I think in that position, it's just harder to monetize on skins. I do like what you brought up earlier, where maybe the skins were just too bland.
Simplistic. Yeah.
Yeah, like let's just slap another drawing on it, and boom, there we go. Give me money, right? Yeah. So maybe that was just not, like they needed maybe more push there, where it needs to be animated, needs to be cool. Like I don't know whether they had the option to do that, engine wise, blah 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 blah
Right.
blah 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 blah. But it comes down to it where it just wasn't compelling enough.
Yeah.
Because I definitely have bought skins in the past in different games. I'm not huge on skins, but I bought a skin league here and there, right, for a
Yeah.
character that I literally played all day, every day. And I just didn't feel that say, except the Boom bartender. I think that guy's amazing. I love his. But there you have it, voice lines, right? Like he does something other. Like there's voice lines, and he does something other than literally just the pictures. So like the Boom bartender, I think is amazing. But that just there wasn't enough options, I think, for them to make the money needed from cosmetics due to fault in the planning or whatever it is, whatever brought us to this point where they're suddenly like, well, we need to start turning a profit. Whoa, what do people need? They need the perks. Let's start charging for the perks, because that's kind of what it comes down to. So I don't like the situation that we're in right now, but I understand that if you are in that situation and the decision is, well, do we start making money or do we start pulling resources away from BGs? You got to find a way to start making money. So as a BG player, when I am in this fork in the road, I don't want to be in this fork in the road. I want to be, 1 year earlier, better decisions have been made, money can be made from skins, etc. But we're not there, right? So we are in this fork in the road. I would prefer for them to start charging and keep the game mode alive than to, say, hey, we tried, it's not profitable, let's double down on constructed. So anyways, those are the remaining points I wanted to make, because a lot of people will just say like, no, 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 it's pure greed, blah 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 blah. I don't think it's that. I think it actually needed to start paying off, or I do think that we'd be in a spot where BGs would not be receiving the kind of support it does right now.
And just because constructed is profitable doesn't mean BG's is, right. Like that is something, right. Like, oh, Hearthstone as a whole is profitable. That might be true, but
It, it's very,
you
it's
have
true.
things bleeding, like, and you can't just say, oh, Hearthstone's working, so they should fund everything, right? No. And another thing is, initially they thought BG's was going to go the way of like solo adventure arena, that kind of thing, right? When BG's came out, it was put into, it wasn't on the front of Hearthstone. It was in modes, right next to arena. It was arena and then BG's. So you'd have to click on modes and then click on BG's to play
Yeah,
BG. So
true. That's true. It wasn't
it wasn't, they didn't realize how popular it would be. So there wasn't a lot of like, oh, we gotta monetize it, it's gonna be popular. It's only like, months and months down the line, next season, that they even start to monetize it. Right? Initially the to get the perks came in a bundle, and the bundle was like, you get arena passes and you get the Battlegrounds perks together. Like that was the bundle. So it was just not, they didn't realize what they had. Essentially they didn't realize, oh, this BG thing is going to be like one of our biggest draws to Hearthstone. Like it just wasn't in their radar. And then once it did, like it was very late in the monetization. Like they didn't realize, oh, people are just gonna be playing this for years. Like that wasn't their thought when they created it. So it just unfortunate that their decisions come down and boil down, and later down the ride, when they've put a lot of resources and time and stuff. Now they're thinking, oh, we this has to be a profitable function of our company here. So it's just rough, right? Those are the decisions, and they all boil down and create the situation we're in. So just kind of what it is.
Yeah, the spot we're in that we don't want to be in, but we are there regardless.
Yeah. Anyways, I do think we should cover this. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's that thoroughly gave our opinion. So, like with everything, it's nuanced. It's not. It's definitely not all good, but I don't think it's just like, oh, this is just pure evil or whatever. Like a lot of people like to just go full crazy, like, oh, this is the worst thing ever, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So it's not a fun decision, but in the position we are in right now, understand it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Plus,
they
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna move on, but you felt like
Yeah, yeah, no, let's move on. I was just gonna say, like, plus, like, a lot of the people that you're gonna be interacting with, they just have no, like, say in this, right? Like, devs and
yeah.
community managers, like, they don't decide, like, we're gonna start charging for 4 heroes. So there's, like, the actual people that make the shots, or they call the shots for this, you're not gonna be talking to them most of the time. So, but yeah, people want the vent, right? They wanna direct that anger somewhere. So
Yeah, how
anyone who's
how much would the pass be? It should be $15, or um, how much is it in Runestones? 1,500. Is it? It's one comparison.
Yeah, rough. Well, not one, but like one ish, right? So like you'll get. I think if you boil it down to per month, it's going to be less than $5 a month. So
Yeah.
for playing the game, like if this is your main game and you play it all the time, less than $5 a month. Like yeah, for someone who's played WoW subscription or whatnot, that's not a big amount. Obviously, different people have different budgets, etc. But for someone who's used
Oh,
to
they do have
that,
that. Sounds like.
that's one more thing I'll say. Like I have a card gaming background, so for someone who's very very used to, like, if I wanted to play an FNM, right, Friday Night Magic draft, I'd have to buy my packs, right? So I'd have to pay for that entertainment. I played Yu-Gi-Oh, I played Pokemon, right, Magic, as I mentioned. So I'm very, very used to paying to, you know, get my entertainment. Like I've always been a card gamer and then I played WoW. So but I understand if you've never had that, right? You didn't pay for card games, you never had a subscription model. And you're
Dude,
like, oh, yeah.
I'm always used to being good enough at the game that I can get through by just like out getting the currency by being better than everyone else. Like all the games I play like some like arena style games where you get you get a little bit of currency, and then if you're better than everyone, you can get more currency. You know, that's how I've always played every game that
But
I
that's
like.
online though. That's the thing though. Like I was like you can't do that in real life. You can't
I
just
know,
walk up.
I know, but like
Yeah,
those are the games I would play. You
I
know.
understand. I understand. To me, it's just to me it was crazy when I first discovered Hearthstone Arena. I was like, "What? I can draft all day long, and if I'm good enough, I don't have to pay? What the hell, man? That's insane!" Like, I would love to walk up to like the owner of the shop or whatever, be like, "Hey, I won the last tournament, so you can let me in for free." Like, my MMR is high enough. I don't have to pay. Thank you very much. Right? Like, so yeah. Anyways, we'll move on because we can keep talking about this. Now we're, but this you get the gist of it, right? That is the way how we look at it. But now let's get into the gameplay changes because
Well,
there's a lot of them.
the one like a small thing about the runestones, right? That was like maybe another thing that people were discussing.
Oh
But
right, yeah,
yeah, but now that we have more information, I don't think it's like as bad, at least because the way it translates, it's 1 to 1, and you have it's like if you want to spend $10, it's 1,000 runes. $15 is 1,500 runes. There's no, and the pass costs 1,500, so you're paying the 1,500 to get the runestone. So it's not like you're paying extra or less or anything like that. It's just like here you go. You get the runestones. Now you're done. So
that is indeed the concern.
yeah,
So when you hear that you're gonna have to pay with gems or runestones or
yeah,
crystals or whatever the game is, most of the games that is there to make you spend more money,
more money.
right?
Yeah,
Whenever you see that, it's like you have to do the math and be like, this bundle costs me like some obscure number like 2,739, but then I need to buy it in chunks of 500. And then, like, that's not the case here, indeed. Yeah. So, the argument for runestones, um, I think it was Celestalon, right, on Twitter, who was explaining this, is that runestones allow them to offer you like a single hero skin and have it be a small number of runestones instead of just charging by the dollar because of fees or whatever it is, right? So for now, right, we obviously we don't see everything, but for now it looks like that is true, and that you can just because obviously you want to be a little cautious because when you've seen the system over and over and over,
right.
and
Yeah.
it's done the same thing over and over and over, you're like, sure, I'll believe it when I see it. But this seems very reasonable in that indeed you can get 500, you can get 1,000, you can 1,500, you can get 2,000. So it's not these crazy weird numbers where you will overpay and be left with a surplus of, for instance.
Okay. So someone said it's cheaper to buy 500 roosters. I actually have an answer to why it's like this. I have an
Yeah,
answer. So
yeah,
according to like App Store laws or whatever, everything has to end in 99.
yeah,
Everything has to end in 99. So they can't actually make it $5. Like they just can't do it. It's not. They have to make it end in 99. So that's why you have everything in 99. It's just like it's out of their hands essentially. So that's
yeah.
why it's like that. So you do
If you,
get this weird thing where you can buy the 500 8 times if
yeah,
you want, and then you're saving cents, but
if
that's
you want
not
to
really up to
optimize,
them.
always buy the 500
Yeah,
guys. Save those sweet 8 cents
eight
or whatever,
cents
right?
copium.
And again, you could argue that the time you spend saving the money, you can probably put that into working time and make quite a bit more than 8 cents or whatever. But
No,
so,
not true.
not true.
Save your 8 cents per
Save your
copium.
8 cents.
But yeah, but that's the reason why it's like that. It's not anything malicious. It's just due to if there's a mobile client, and they have to follow the rules of that. So everything else bounces off of that. So that's the reason for that. But yeah, that's the other thing that I needed more information I have to be concerned about, but now that I have the information, I'm not really concerned about the runestone changes. It doesn't look like there's any.
There is a question why there is no discount for bulk, and I believe the answer to that is that first of all, you keep it simple. It's always the same conversion, so you don't have to worry about, oh, I need to spend more money now to try and save money. But then that's the exact scenario where you end up with surplus of runestones because you like bought the big bundle, etc. But they offer discounts in game. So if you buy a bunch of packs, it's cheaper than buying like per one pack, for instance. So you can save by buying the packs in bulk. So, but you don't have to do the math on your runestones. So you
Right.
just buy your runestones, and then if you want to buy in bulk in game, right? So buy a bunch of packs or whatever.
So the discounts are applied to the in-game item, is what you're saying, compared to the.
Yeah, from what I've seen, right? If you want to buy a bunch of packs, it's cheaper to get a bunch of packs instead of
Yeah,
one
and
per.
I think also if you made there have a discount if you buy in bulk, then you're going. Then I have a problem with it personally. Like then it feels like you're paying more, right? For
The
whatever
smaller
you're
amount.
getting, yeah, for the smaller thing. So now like you'll have to base every the conversion on what the discount is. That's how I would look at it. So the base wouldn't be the 1-to-1, it'd be 1 to whatever the actual discount is. So you just make everything feel scummier. Like if you try to buy a five, like if I'm buying the $15 thing and I know if I spent like $80 I'd get like a 20% discount, and I'm just like, why?
Right. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
I'm feeling like I'm being ripped off immediately.
Yeah.
Right,
No,
so
I like Indeed where it's nice and straightforward, right?
yeah,
Like
so
I don't have to do the math. I just see, okay, this is the amount of runestones I need. I'm gonna buy that amount.
yeah,
I don't want to have to think like, okay, how many months am I gonna play this game? And shit. Right? That's when you
right,
start
yeah,
doing
right, cause yeah,
it.
exactly, cause you're like, well, maybe I should just buy the 80 because
Yeah.
I'm gonna be playing for this long, and like there's no, so
Like, for me, it's whatever, right? I've been playing this game for God, man, like
no,
7 years,
yeah, but
6 years. I'm still doing
I wouldn't
it.
like that basically,
No, I,
and
I
yeah,
I agree. I agree. Like, just okay. But anyways,
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Enough about
but
them.
moving
But
on
it's
to
good that
runestones, blah blah blah. I just
it's
wanted
good
to
that
talk about those things as well,
it was
because
great to touch on because I completely forgot about it. So good stuff.
all right, now you know, 45 minutes later, we're actually in the BG content,
The actual,
and I feel like that is correct.
I agree.
Like.
I agree. I think it's a big change, so I think it was an adequate amount. I think.
Fair. Okay. So new gameplay mechanics. Actually, talking about the patch itself. Quests. Now, I feel like quests we can kind of touch a little bit because we've talked a lot about
Yeah.
quests already in the previous one. So if you really want to like dive deep on quests, you should go watch the previous podcast, because I think that we really covered over every single quest. But we still are going to talk about it, and we also now have more information. I don't know if you watched or participated in the preview event at all. Did you see it or
I
no?
well, I saw, but I'm
Uh,
assuming that we didn't get invited because we got the podcast, right? Like we got
yes,
the
we
exclusive.
did not get
So
invited. However, someone that
yeah.
did get invited me to join.
You played or
I did technically play, yes. I didn't have the
technically?
mouse though. I didn't have the mouse, right? But
Okay.
I was able
Oh
to.
no, share, please. I was not
It,
aware. I guess I watched the EU one, right? I didn't
yeah,
watch
you
the
watched
NA.
the EU one. Yeah, I participated in the NA one. Um, and so I have more information now than I
Excellent.
even knew.
Give me the
Uh,
juice calls. Like, what are the OP strats? What's the good stuff here? Come
uh,
on.
I, I, yes, you're right. There are some OPs. They did not balance it perfectly, which I knew was gonna be
Which was
happen. I knew this was gonna happen. That was my one fear, right? Like when I was talking to them, I was like, okay, so is everything balanced? They did say they have levers to move, and
yeah.
and I feel like if they watched the preview event, they like before it comes out, they should have changed this. Like I'm not even joking. I think if they watch the preview event, they're like, we messed up.
I, I, I have seen some stuff, right? Like the quest where you have to change the stats of your minions.
Mhm.
Like it works with spawn and gems and stuff, and it was like so fast that you could complete it. Like a
Yeah,
spawn would just like buff 4 minions at the
yeah,
same time, and then you have a road board which pushes the chip. It's like, okay, it's like instant done, right?
yeah.
So
You that so there are some quests I think are just very easy to complete. Like I think that's already like the first issue. I think the buff one, right? And then also the unlikely duo one. I think those and unlikely duo is the most popular, or like the most likely one to appear. And I also think it's
mhm.
like very easy to complete if you just like if you find the heroes. Like it's not hard to because it can go down to buy three or play three, right? It can go down to play three, right?
Wow.
So if you can do that the turn you get it, you know,
Yeah.
like it's not. And same thing with the increase of minion stats. Like that can be like increase the minion stats like 8 times, right? Like you can trigger that with a spawn like very quickly with.
I think I saw it with a carriel where
Yeah. Well, it
it's like,
was it was
okay.
that was Pocky. Pocky with
Oh
Jeeves.
yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the highlight was on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And he was playing Panda. It wasn't.
Oh,
Yeah, and
okay.
the Panda put carrier. Yeah, so it wasn't even. It was very broken
I
on
wasn't
his
even
thing.
stuck with carriel. Damn. Yeah.
So I think those two are very easy to complete. But then also once you talk about the rewards, right? There were four that concerned me even before I saw anything. You know
Mhm.
which four they are? Just guessing.
I mean, it depends on like the
Just guess for it.
difficulty.
Like the
Yeah, yeah, I
ones that you
mean,
think
so
are broken.
the one that makes goldens,
So stolen
um,
gold, yeah.
yeah, that's like huge tempo. Then, I mean, these ones, right? It depends on how easy you can complete
Yeah,
them,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
sure. But like,
15,
which ones do you
15,
think are like very strong, like
well,
essentially?
15, 15 to
Yeah,
everything.
that one as well.
Only two copies to
Yeah, that
make a
one as
golden.
well. And then what's the
And
last one?
the last one, I don't have any on my mind, but let me just have a look. We don't have to waste too much time. Which one
The
was the
the,
last
the
one?
stealth one with the 8 health.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That one, it depends. Like that wasn't immediately like, oh shit, that shit crazy OP, but it
Okay.
might be, right.
Yeah,
The other three kind of stood out where, but
yeah,
once again, it's all dependent on can you actually complete the quest, right?
yeah.
It's because it might be really
Like,
really difficult to get the
getting
15.
8 health permanent, like with stealth, like avenge and stuff, it's very. I think it's pretty good, and also like demon stuff, right? If you can do it on tricksters, right? So 8 health on a trickster every turn, like that could be pretty powerful.
Yeah.
So
It kind of depends what the norm is though, right? Because like
yeah,
remember when we like went to buddies at the start of buddy meta, there were certain things that like, oh, this is just so good, and then you're like, no, it's actually trash because the norm has shifted.
right.
Like the norm is
Yeah.
now
Yeah,
insane, right?
once again, it does depend on how quickly you can get this. I think if you get
Yeah,
that late, it's not as good. But
yeah,
you can trigger that the turn you get the prize if you want. Like it's that quick.
right. So that one is not linked to a heavy cost. That one is
Same
linked to a
thing with stolen gold.
yeah. That's the one that I know is gonna concern, or that's the one what I know concerns me because that's the one I saw Pocky complete so fast. I was like, that's a minus 15 to everyone he fights, right?
Yeah.
Like if you get two golden, like assuming that you can get like a 4 drop slash five, like a golden 4 drop early, a golden 5 drop early.
Yeah.
It's just like, can you imagine like a golden baby crush in position one? Like, oh my god,
It though
disgusting.
I think those two trigger way too fast.
Yeah,
Um the lamp and the 1515 they don't trigger as fast. So I think they're
yeah.
maybe okay. But the other two, they just trigger. You can trigger them immediately if you really want. And like, we like everyone was just playing stolen gold because it didn't make any sense. And also another thing is we are talking about the things that are broken, but like there are some things that are like make no sense to complete. Like the Menagerie Mayhem one, it,
Mhm.
it's like the same level as Staff of Origination, like plus 50.
Right.
It's like they're on like the same level, and I'm just, I'm just like, what? Why
Like
would
they're
you
not on the same
ever
level.
pick this? Like it made no sense to
Well,
me.
let's point something out though, right? The
Yeah,
tempo in high tier lobbies is just much higher, right? So
right.
any slower ramping up, scaling, like give you a game plan kind of stuff, that gets a lot better the lower you go in MMR. So it might even be that somebody looks at the +15 staff of origination, be like, well, that's capped. I don't want that. I'll
Don't
take the
no,
thing that.
don't ignore those people. Don't
Yeah,
listen.
but
Don't.
like if you do have games that go on forever, that does start falling off. Now it's insane in a game that ends in a timely fashion,
You
right? Like
get it and they die. Like it doesn't
yeah,
even
plus
matter.
research plus everything. It's so good. Man. So, but anyways, yeah, just to explain that some of the things that are really high tempo are just going to be disgustingly good in high MMR lobbies and not as good in lower MMR lobbies. But yeah, obviously, if uh, if the menagerie and the staff of origination are on the same difficulty to complete, that yeah, that
Like
that's very very
probably
good.
it's like one tier below, but like it's still ridiculous. Like because it feels like it's on a tier like it's +1/+1 health, like 1/1. Like they talked about how there used to be +1 attack +1 health, and
Yeah,
then they nerfed it because that was too strong. But it
yeah.
feels like they didn't nerf how easy it was to complete. That's my feeling.
Right, right, right,
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I
that's.
mean, we still have to see it, right? And
I
we
did
saw
see
it a
it.
little bit in a contained version, but we still have to see it out in the wild, like how it
I
behaves. And
I I don't need to like.
that, yeah, 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 okay. Now, you're probably right in that it shouldn't be close to the origination,
Yeah.
right? Or it shouldn't be close to Pilfer Lambs.
You do this every time, Shady. And every
Yeah,
time I have to be like, no,
it's
you're
an
good. We're good enough to understand these are broken or not broken. Like, there's no. I don't need to see it at the wild.
all
I
right.
didn't even
There
need
we
to
go.
play test it to tell you like, oh,
No, yeah,
these
no
things are
more, no
broken.
whatever.
So, uh,
Okay. So, anything else that stood out from the playtesting?
Wondrous Wisdom Ball might be the best.
Okay.
Because I saw Victor play with it, and you just get like the
Nasty.
rolls you can get are like kind of dumb. Like just like this isn't really fair at all. Like especially like the one that copies your board is like really abusable. Like really abusable. Like he had like a brand. And he just played a Murzon, had a Murzon on the board rolled, and another Murzon played it, or the roll, like,
Oh,
oh, here you go. It's just
yeah.
like,
You just play two primal fins and you start rolling.
yeah, and it's just like that's not cool. And you can
Yeah.
get like a
Yeah.
full board of shields. You can get two copies of something on your board to like guarantee a triple. You can get a full board of the same card. I don't think that one's very usable, but it's definitely a meme. Like if you hit something good,
It's good with like like brand Reef Explorer or something like that,
yeah,
right?
and
Like
you can get like Hamul. The Hamul, you were right. Like that was correct. Like you can Hamul the board, the
yeah,
shop.
I'd be really weird if that one wasn't in there, right?
But I think the one where it copies exactly your board is just like that's not that's not fair. It's not fair. He ended up just like running like eight mantids or something. Just like I'll just run eight mantids. They're all golden or something.
Double
It's
method, double
yeah
method, method.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I do think that one could be like extremely abusable. Some of the other ones are just cool. Like I don't think the ones that sound good are good, right? Like I think that did happen when I was looking at it. The smoking gun, the minions have 5 attack, like really good tempo. Like honestly, like we played, like you had a couple of them, and I was like, oh, that's better than I thought.
Play a
Uh,
Hydra, play a Pop Pod, right? Like,
yeah,
so.
a lot of it you were like using it for like avenge, and you could just like run the avenge because like oh I'll kill I have enough tempo to survive. Um, but other than that, like wasn't like anything super crazy. I do think they're gonna need to rebalance it, uh, very quickly. I'm hoping it'll take only a week, right?
Yeah.
Um, like I'll be confused if it like 2 3 weeks and things haven't changed, but yeah, definitely stolen gold and some of the other ones that you can complete super quickly are going to be abusable. Probably you're going to see most wins with stolen gold because the issue with some of the other ones is they do take a long time, right? So you need to have a completable quest as long with a good one, but it's like you're not gonna take it, right? Like that's the thing, right? You're still gonna take the good reward over something that doesn't do anything. So, but stolen gold is just like too easy to complete, and you can win the lobby with it. So I just think that is what you're gonna see the most, and it's also good tempo too. So you can
Yep.
kill the people that have a greedier reward.
Yeah, that one really feels like the best overall
Yeah,
deal.
yeah, I
You know,
agree. I think that one's probably the tier S of the bunch. Um,
and it's like they know, right, that there's a lot of shit that's gonna need to get adjusted when you have this many. You have so many possible quest rewards, and then you have a good amount of quests, and they can all kind of mix and match, and the numbers go up, and
it,
like there's so many things.
it's definitely like nearing buddy level of
Yeah,
of things that need to be calculated for sure. So we'll
lots
see
of
how
different.
they do with it.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Moving on.
any, yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So,
General updates. Now, I didn't think this would be like very like memorable, but there's actually some real things to talk about here. The turn four will have time term turn. Why is that hard to say? Will have its turn time slightly extended. Yes, I think that makes sense. Good, sure.
yeah.
Players can now exceed 10 gold when selling minions or otherwise gaining gold. So normally, if you have 10 gold and you sell something first, you lose the gold essentially. But now, if you sell a gold at the beginning of a turn, you don't lose it. What's your thoughts on this?
I think that it's a quality. So you get these like vibes of Gallywix, but I don't think it really changes too much at first glance. It's just like a quality of life thing where, you know, you've got the triple in the shop, but you need to level, but you need to sell, but you don't want to flow the gold. But like sometimes you just have these turns like, I can't start this turn. I can't see it like, and then like after 20 seconds of torturing yourself, okay, I'll minus the gold, I'll sell the thing first. So I think it's a nice like quality of life thing where you
I,
get to
I think this is yeah. I think this is good for good players.
or like, oh, this is the meme with like the like the graph where
Yeah,
like the
like
middle is whatever,
yeah,
and then like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
the noobs, the idiots are just like, I'll just sell and minus a gold, and then the other ones like, no, I can't minus a gold, I'll just level, and then the pros are like, I'll minus the gold, right? So that's exactly what I feel right now. So yes, exactly. So this is good for the really good players and the really bad players.
Yeah. But yeah, I do think this helps a lot because I'll be in those situations where I'm like, am I buying a minion just to like it's minusing a gold, but I'm putting the gold in the minion as well,
Yeah,
like
like you
essentially.
buy a
So
tab and you're like,
yeah,
I guess
yes.
whatever.
So I am minusing a gold, but I'm minusing it in a way where I get a minion as well, right? So now I don't have to do that, and it was annoying. It annoyed me a lot of the times. So I'm just like, I have to do this. Actually, yeah. And there are some times where I just sell the minion because I don't. There's nothing at a shop
Yeah,
worth buying,
if
right? Yeah.
yeah, you're rolling for a baron. You're like, no, I mean, I can't. Like, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
yeah,
I don't want a tad. I don't want to
yeah,
whatever. Just
yeah. I don't need the gold. I
yeah.
need to survive, so I can't
But
buy it.
you gotta like sell the minion off your board so you can play the Uther on the thing in the shop and then buy
Yeah,
it, right? You're
yeah,
like, whatever.
yeah.
And
Uh,
that's gonna be fine now. That's gonna be like, I'll just go to 11 gold. You heard that, right? I can go to 11 gold right
yeah.
now.
So I'm
Oh, did
pretty,
I do good?
I'm pretty happy with it.
No,
First,
it's good. It's good.
yeah.
Like I'm gonna just enjoy clicking my Crag hero power at the start of the turn and be like, 18 gold, nice. I play Crag quite often,
And I
and I'm always
think
like,
you're trolling. First,
no, no, I'm not, dude. Like I play Crag a lot, and I'm always like, okay, level first, then click the button, then buy the triple, then roll. Now it's just gonna be like, boom, 18 money.
I think Craig needs a buff. You should be able. It should be random one or two gold in the bank.
What?
Uh,
Oh, you mean gain 1 to 2 gold
yeah,
every
one to
turn?
two gold. Yeah. So
Oh, okay. I mean, I love playing Crag already. So, well, love is a strong word.
yeah, exactly.
I love picking Crag over like Mukla or some
and
shit, right?
let's make it love. You know, give a 1.5 gold buff. You know,
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess I don't know if that's too strong. I
you
guess.
really you think that's too strong? It's crazy to me.
Well, it depends what kind of meta we're in, right? But I pick Crag mainly in prize lobbies because that's where he really gets rewarded for that super
Okay.
exploit. Because you
Yeah, but
pop off.
there's not gonna be prize lobbies once it changes.
Yeah, but quests might have a similar thing where you pop the hero power to
Maybe
then complete the quest in like one turn and do really well. But regardless, we don't have to go on a tangent here. But cool idea.
if Cry
Cool idea.
becomes playable because of this, I'm fine. Like I don't care. Like that, I would do
He's
that.
playable
He's
already.
not playable. You're
Maybe,
trolling.
maybe with prize. No, I'm not trolling, dude. How many times have you played Crag and pulled an Orgo and then leveled in a Tissa?
Never.
I do it all the time,
It
Collins.
doesn't
There you go.
happen.
You stay on one, you get the triple,
See,
and then the best feeling in the world, Collins, you level, and you don't have to sell off your board to buy the shitty one drop triple. You just hit the fucking piggy bank, and then you buy it, and then your turn's not over. You roll, and you buy a 5-drop as well, and you get like an Agam straight away with your Dark Gaze, and all is right.
this is where you're trolling with Yogg. That did not be like, oh, okay.
Maybe my Crag is your Yogg. That's true, but
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Anyways, we can go to the next change.
So the Battlegrounds quests been removed from the general Riki rotation, and now we have Battlegrounds mission. So I think this only really helps the like constructed arena players. Like they don't care about this, so that's good for them. And then we have some quests that reward cosmetics. So everyone's getting cosmetics. As long as you complete the quest, but most players are getting cosmetics. Sure, like not super duper important, but nice. New hero Murloc Holmes. So we kind of talked about it, or at least I talked about it. I don't like that you can't use it turn one. That's my gripe with it. You can't use it turn one. But I saw some people play with it, and it's not like super. It didn't feel super hard to
No,
guess it correct.
I think if you're a good player, it's really hard to program this in a way where you're going to throw a good player for a loop often, right? I'm not going to say that you're never going to doubt your decisions, but yeah, to make this like playable as well for newer play. Well, I mean not newer players, right? But like non-professional players, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. But I'll have to play with it to really get the feel for it. But it does feel like most of the time you're just going to pick up an extra gold with this hero. Doesn't feel like the level of Barrow, right? Like Barrow is more.
It doesn't feel bear off level.
Yeah.
Kind of
So
okay, I guess.
yeah.
Um,
So the awkward thing, like you said, is you don't get the coin turn one, which means that you don't get to do what Lich does or
yeah,
old
you don't get to lit it up.
You don't get to like double coin on that's really what made Lich so much fun on tier one. Lich would turn one get the extra coin, turn two get the extra coin, which means that on the 4 gold turn you have 6 gold, you can double buy. Like that was so clean as Lich, and you're not going to be able to do that with Murloc Homes.
You still need a token. You can do it if you have a token, right? But
Yeah, with a token you can do it, but I'm guessing with Murloc Homes, it's most of the time 2-on-2, and then just either coin 3-on-3 or coin double buy.
Right. Yeah.
Which
So
is pretty good, right? Like listening to that, like, oh, that sounds good. Like coin double buy or coin 3-on-3.
fair enough. And there's Sir Denatrius.
Sire, but yeah.
Sire Denatrius or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw one person play it, but I think they just died. So I didn't get to see someone play and like see how good it was. It feels like it can be good, right? Like that's how I feel. Like just like it feels like it can be good, but it does very much depend on your quest rewards, right? And you can't get the same one.
Yeah.
You have to be pretty selective, I guess, or so. But theoretically, it feels like it's playable. That's how I feel. But I don't know the likelihood of having a reward that makes up for not having a hero power. you know,
So I think this is a hero that probably goes up quite a bit with knowledge,
with
right?
knowledge. Yeah,
Knowledge of the meta
that's
and knowledge
probably
of the
true. Yeah.
because if you it's let's say we had the Avenge meta, right? And like the first 2 weeks of the Avenge meta, Lightspawn was just awful. People are like, what the fuck is this, right?
Mm.
And then you go like 2 weeks further, 3 weeks further, you see people like picking Galakrond and like hard chasing Lightspawn and like tripling into 4 drop trying to get lights. And people are saying like, oh, this card is OP now, right? So yeah, you start realizing how you're supposed to play the meta. So when you realize how you're supposed to complete quests, which quests you're supposed to take, which quests you're supposed to take based on which minion types are in and out, right? So you get a lot more information, you get a lot more comfort level. This probably gets a lot better because you're going to get a lot better at completing quests and picking the right rewards.
Is this a Dummit reference? Got Dummit reference? Because the name of the passive power is Who Done It.
I think that's the well. If you're, are you honestly asking a question, or
Yeah.
I think this is referring to the whole Castle Nathriat theme where they're trying to solve the murder, and this is like who did it, right? Who done it?
I'm saying it's a Dummit reference.
All right, dummy reference. There we go.
Yeah, feels good,
We're,
man.
we're going with it. Like sticking with this
Um,
thing.
but yeah, I think you're probably right that more you play in the patch, the better this hero gets. Because
Yeah.
it theoretically, I feel like it should be good, and also I guess it's going to be based on how busted the like if they nerf the prizes, then this gets worse, right? So
The quest rewards, right?
yeah,
The reward.
yeah.
Sure.
But right now, if you can
Yeah.
get stolen gold off of this, like you're probably good. That's that.
Yeah, this is it's almost feels like you're picking Eudora just because you can triple into a 6 in the OP Naga meta, right?
Yeah,
You're like you pick anything if you can get a 6 drop, right?
you can get
So
stolen gold. Yeah, really.
yeah, if you do have like 1 or 2 question marks where you say, okay, these are just fundamentally unfair, they're way better than the others, then this might be really good because you're just well, the only thing that matters is do I get one of these two? The rest doesn't matter, right? So a hero that gets 2 shots at it, that might indeed be very good. So if there is a big imbalance, if there's a few quests that are really good, then yeah, this might be excellent because you get to reroll. Well, not reroll, but you get to try again.
And these will be offered in every lobby. Whoops. Yeah. So
Right. Yep. Yeah, kind of similar, I guess. So.
yeah. Okay,
All of it.
Rakanishu. It's getting a change.
Yep.
Okay, I did not get the change correctly, or I did not
Oh,
understand it correctly initially. Uh, but you give a minion stats equal to its tavern tier.
yeah.
So 1 drops get +1/+1. 2 drops get +2/+2. So that's not what that's not what I thought it was, right? I thought it was like it's the same ability, but
Mhm.
now it costs 1 gold. No, it's a completely different ability now. So
Yeah.
if you get like a deflecto, it's +3/+2 on deflecto. If you get a
Mhm.
full reaper, it's +6/+6 on a full reaper, right? So Max, maybe this is going to be a better hero from Max, right? Because but
Yeah. If I look at this hero, my brain is like, well, it's minimum 3-on-3,
yeah,
and if I can 4-on-4, because the first turn on 4-on-4, if you find 1 4 drop, right, you have 7 gold.
yeah.
You
No, you
buy
have
two, and
on 4 you
4 on
have 8 gold, right?
no
Or
4-on-4, right? So
oh,
three
four
on
on four.
three,
Okay, yeah,
yeah. So you start with a Selly and you just level, and then you
right.
sell,
And then you
sell,
sell the
drop.
Sully. Okay, yeah,
But then
okay,
on 7 gold, you buy two and you hero power.
yeah. You okay?
And if you have a reasonable tavern and you
So
give +4,
bonkers.
+4, you get a bonker
Yeah,
and anything reasonable after that. It doesn't even have to be like a duo or something crazy, but you get a bonker and you give +4/+4 for 1 gold to that bonker. That's really good.
that's
So
really good. Yeah,
I think when you play New Rakanishu,
you got to ramp.
you wanna do it in the Naga, Quilboar, Mech, whatever it is. Like, I mean, the meta is going to change, so maybe this is not relevant. But just look at the cards, right? Look at the lobby and see if you want to go 3-on-3, if you want to go 4-on-4. Because yeah, especially when you start with economy, you could go 3-on-3 and technically still just sell hero power, and then on 7 gold, double buy hero power again. So yeah, this seems to me like a power level hero now.
Yeah, I think so. They still gave it armor, so they don't think it's broken. I don't think it's broken, but
No. If it were just 1 gold, give the hero stats to your tavern tier, I think it'd be really good. Because then,
I think that's what they should have done, honestly.
well, you just reform curve, right? You like slap buffs on a pup bot, slap
That's
buffs on
I'm down. You know,
and then like Rakadisha's time to shine, baby. Let's go. I mean, I don't know, like
like
3-on-3 for
isn't that like Cario, essentially, like.
I don't like playing Carriel, kind
Yeah,
of.
exactly. That's my point. You know, like
Oh,
it's
yeah, but the
yeah.
buffs are spread out on Carriel, right? Like concentrating
Okay,
buffs.
Mukla, but yeah, I guess Mukla,
Yeah,
but the early game is worse. You know, like
yeah. You
it's
give bananas to other
it's fine.
people.
You know, like I don't think that's like, oh my god, like it's crazy. So
Right, right. No, I mean, I think this is interesting, the one we have, right? Like this one. But yeah,
it's not
obviously,
as
if you get
good
a
though. It's just not as
yeah,
good.
because if you get a 4-drop, you'd be on 4.
Yeah,
If you get
exactly.
a 3-drop, you'd be on 3. So I do agree, not as good. So maybe worth experimenting
Yeah.
with.
See if this
But
is played,
yeah,
and then if
let's
it's
see
not,
how this
yeah,
goes.
yeah.
If nobody ever picks Rakanishu still, then nuke it, right? And be like, all right, fuck it. Let's just make it stats equal to your tavern tier.
I mean, this doesn't make me want to play the hero, and that's usually
Oh,
how I evaluate heroes these
okay.
days because it's
I'll
been
definitely
good.
try. I'll definitely
Yeah,
try. I
I'll
like
try it
it.
once. I'll try this. This makes me want to try it once, and if I fail, never again. You know, you know what I mean? Like that's
No, one shot. Don't fuck it up, Rakanishu. You hear me, right? I better be a deflecto sensei on my 3-on-3 or I'm out. Right? Yeah.
for real. I'm like you're joking, but that's how I
That's
feel.
how
I'll try
college
it once.
found out new heroes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Um, Patchwork. So instead of 55 health, you have 60 health. However, there is a however. They've nerfed the armor you get to make it equal. So you're not. It's not really a change. It is a change for Battle Master, but that's the only thing I'm like, ooh, Battle
Yeah.
Master. You can get 5. You can get a 560 now. Okay,
I mean,
Copium.
the only reason I played Patchwork was Sephin, and they're removing Sephin, so it's a bit of a spoiler, but yeah,
The
that was
only
pretty
reason
much
I the only reason I played Patrick was Brand Battle Master.
brand battle master. Sure.
Yeah.
So I only wanted to play him in Murloc lobbies, and you wanted him to play in non-Murloc
Non-Murloc,
lobbies.
exactly.
So for me, honestly, Patchwork was literally just okay. I have more health to roll for a 7. Let's
And
go.
I'm like, ooh, I can get a 500 with Brand Battle Master. That's pretty good. You know, that's how I looked at it. So
Okay.
moving on, but not anything crazy. Doesn't make me want to play it.
No.
Vander. So Vander's getting redesigned. It's getting the buddy, basically.
Yeah. You become buddy. You become
Become
one.
the. They fuse the buddy together. So Avenge 2, give your minions +1 health permanently. So this is interesting. But I say interesting for everything. So I don't like using it anymore. But I do think this is a definitely a way to change the hero. Because what's your thoughts on the old hero power? Like I guess no one is playing it, right? So maybe
Yeah, I pick Drek and Vander occasionally, but it's one of those things where it either works out or it's going to be an eighth. So I just do it because they had armor and
yeah,
because
you
I
picked
really
it
like.
because they had armor. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, I also kind of know how to like. I'll know to try and steer it into. Oh, I'll just get like a Mithrax and then a Sephin, and I'll give the Sephin a bunch of health. Or I'm playing Drek and then I'll cookie, or play Vander and then I'll cookie and do something. So, but this feels. You say interesting, and I think that's the right word because it feels like it's going to be really good, but at the same time, we have to see as well with the quests, right? How much do quests overshadow what you want to be doing?
Yeah.
So I think with Vandar and Drek, because I mean Vandar is now health, Drek is damage,
Right.
same thing. You're gonna want to be looking at those. Okay, which lobbies have all my death rattle stuff, right? So you want that Imprisoner on tier
On
1
demons.
now, right?
Yeah.
Icky Imp is out. Beasts, get your sewer out, get your whatever.
Rat
And
pack.
then you're going to hope that you roll the Death Rattle quest, right? The one that makes you kill off all your minions and you get
And
a lot of.
Max, right? So like
Yeah. So
Demon Beast
I think
Max.
this is going to be like you look for the Death Rattle lobby kind of the way how you have a Gallywix now, and you're going to be like, okay, are my pirates in, are my elementals in, etc. You're going to look at the Vandal or the Drek and say, okay, are my demons in, are my beasts in, are my mechs in? Do I have all my death rattle stuff? Then you pick them, and then you're going to hope that it lines up with a death rattle quest, and then you get to really 2-for-1, right? Because you get to buy units that you would buy anyway because you want them for your revenge, but you also get to progress your quest really fast.
Yeah. The weird thing is like you're giving things health, so they're harder to die, right? So it's just like it's harder to complete this. The
Sure,
longer
but
you
you're,
go,
you're still you're still playing in Prisoner, right? And it still spawns a 1/1
probably.
when it
Yeah.
dies, and that 1/1 doesn't get perma scaling.
For
And
sure.
the way how this works is you put the things that are supposed to die in the front anyway.
Yeah.
So they're dead for the health buff. So only the second minion gets like the one proc, right? The first minion never gets the proc
But
because it's
but
already.
still, like that means you have like 3 or 4 things that are getting your procs, right? And then also those
Yeah.
things don't die, you
But
know.
you don't need everything to die if you have. So if your first minion is a sewer rat, your second minion is in prison or whatever, that's already 4 bodies, right? If 4 things die every fight, and then that also assumes that you're winning, right? Because if you lose, then all your minions are dying anyway. So I think if like 4 of your minions die guaranteed every round and you're winning, that's not a bad deal.
With 2 health to 5 minions essentially every turn, like
I mean, quests are still early game, right? You don't always have a full board.
sure. Plus 2 health to like 3 minions, sure. Like that's
Yeah, yeah.
that's okay, right? So, could be good, but this feels like you have to really play and see the meta to know if this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
actually
This is going to be so dependent on how the game is played. Because the game, you might look at quest rewards and be like, "Oh, I don't give a shit about this permanent health at
yeah,
all."
yeah.
Like it's
I
completely.
I agree. I think that
Yeah.
that could very well be the case. Does this help me with my stolen gold? No, I don't care.
All
Right?
right, irrelevant.
Yeah.
Remove it. Yeah.
uh, Drexar, same thing, right? +1 attack.
Yeah,
They
good
they
attack.
they are thinking this is gonna be both better and worse, right? Because you could
It's
argue
event
that
3, but armor tier 2.
armor
Yeah.
2, yeah. You could argue, oh yeah, they put it in armor tier 2, so it's worse. But then it's avenge 3, so they think it's better. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I like health more than attack, but I can see attack being more easy to access in
Yeah.
generally, especially in the early game. So I
This
could
is
see
this is,
both.
um, this is just like because of early mech stuff, right? That
Early
it's
mech stuff,
so
yeah, it's
strong.
really good. Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Spectral sight. Bob's Tavern now always refreshes to 7, such as after buying a minion. Now, chat was trying to troll me when I read
This
this.
is this is a Rana, by the way, right? Because you just said spectral
Oh
sight.
yeah, Arana, you're right. Right, Arana. Bob's Tavern now always refreshes to 7 minutes, such as buying a minion.
Yeah.
Now I was like, oh, that's trash. And then chat's like, oh wait, no, you get this turn 1. I was like, oh, you get this turn 1. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like now I might play the hero. I actually think
No,
if
you would play the
I
hero. Like, dude, the chance that you don't get a pair on turn 1 is
it's
it doesn't exist.
impossible.
You
No.
always triple if that would be the case.
You're right. I probably would play the hero
Definitely. Just
but
imagine like the Force Elementals shops and shit, right?
yeah,
Like, yep.
I hear you. I hear you. You triples are so easy if you get this turn 1, yeah. But I was like, oh, if that was the passive instead of the transformation, I would be down.
Yeah.
However, it's not. You still have to roll 5 times, and I think that absolutely kills it. Like I'm not interested in rolling 5 times.
She's just slightly better at what she did before.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, if you want to force something, like back in the buddy meta, people were playing Swamp Striker with her, Swamp Striker, and you get a Honcho and you cycle Tads. Still something like that, still party rock, but yeah, this is not now suddenly, oh, she's gonna become this meta hero because when I buy my Elemental, I get 1 extra minion in the
Now,
shop.
what I could see is you change it to roll once. Now I'm down. Just
No, that's still too much,
roll
man. That's
once,
still too much.
and I'm down. Like I I don't know. Like the way it works right now is just like it's so lacking in power.
Yeah.
So I need like they said they were gonna balance the heroes, man. And I'm just reading their balance changes. And I'm just like, how are
Yeah.
these balanced right? Like, cause some people are saying, oh, okay, they said two heroes are gonna from four is gonna be like a more of an option, right?
Yeah, that's just a
And,
nice way to say it. There's no way.
and if you were like listening to that, you would think this patch would have a huge hero rebalance, right? To kind of try to balance everything to make it an option, right? And
Mhm.
and that would be the kind of level I would be looking at, these heroes, right? Because it's not
Yeah.
necessarily you want to bring all the strong heroes down so they're all boring. You kind of want to bring
Yeah.
all the heroes up so they're all interesting in some fascinating way. Um, and that's the kind of thing I'd be looking for. Roll once, you get this. Okay, well, I'm now like, does that make me want to play the
Everything that
hero?
you
Yes, right. And
yeah.
that's the answer you want with almost all the heroes, right? Do I want to play? Yes, right. That's the interaction. And sure, you might say, oh, this is broken, but then like Togwago doesn't get touched. Right, like, and you're like, it doesn't get changed at all, and you're just like,
Yeah.
look at the balance levels of these. They're just options, guys. Like,
Yeah.
like
So
what?
the
What?
fun you'd essentially have to like buff hero powers and then be like, now would I pick this over a Togwaggle?
Exactly. If
And
the
if the
answer
answer is
no, then you've
is
done
no,
something
make it
wrong.
stronger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's
That's so yeah, that's so insane. But you would have such an obscene. So the problem though with that approach is right now, like this morning, I had this insanely unpleasant experience
okay.
where I'm playing Cookie. I go 3-on-3.
Okay.
My discovery is 3 1-drops. So I
Yeah.
know I'm fucked already. I'm
Exactly.
already fucked, right?
Yeah.
But my tavern after that is bad, right?
Okay.
And I'm fighting Lich. The turn I go 3-on-3. So
Mm,
I'm fighting Lich.
mhm.
She didn't go 4-on-3. So
Okay.
she went 3-on-2, which means she bought two
The
three
threes.
drops,
Yeah.
which means I take 9 damage, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I fight a random person with my bad tavern and I lose like whatever, 5, 6 HP. But then I fight Togwaggle,
Of course.
minus 15.
Minus 15.
And then,
Yeah.
my cooldown for Lich is up and I died on fucking 8 gold. I died on 8 fucking gold. No agency. And I'm just sitting there like, what? It's turn 6. I'm dead. And that's only possible because they made something like Togwaggle and Lich, who, for whatever reason, it's okay to deal 15 in the early game. It's fine. Just buy the whole shop. Why don't you? Right? Like, so if you then push the game to a point where everyone
I
can
was
do
doing
something
that.
like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
then you have so many games where it's going to be like,
No
well, 15,
agency.
15, 15, and
Yeah.
then so like I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I died on 8 gold. 8 gold. That's when you go to tier 4, right? Like
I can. I
it's
can.
disgusting, right? Yeah, but I mean, I wasn't playing a lich or
Yeah. Yeah.
tapping or,
I hear you.
but yeah, like insane, right? So I just want to say that that's the potential
So
world you're gonna
so
live in after you buff everything.
that's more on the um them adding armor or armor cap, not armor cap, but damage cap. Them adding damage cap made them feel like they can make these type of heroes, right? Like, like if damage cap wasn't in the game, they'd be like, oh, oh, that you can't do that. Oh, he can just buy a full board of threes and deal 15 turn 6, like, or turn 5 or 4, whatever. Like, that's not okay. Like, but because you have this damage cap, it's like, oh, well, I mean, he's only dealing 15, but the problem is, like, now there's multiple heroes with that capability. So you're going into 15 to 15. And if you get like a bad start, that's 10 health, right? Like that, like you can't really play the game from 10 health.
It's over. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, everything needs to line up perfectly,
perfectly.
which
Yeah,
very rarely does. So.
yeah. So them adding all, the damage cap has created the system where like broken early game heroes are okay because the max you can take is 15 and you're not always fighting them. But then when you add multiple of them in this game, then you can fight one into the other. And if you fight
Yeah.
one into the other, then you have a big deal or a big problem. So,
This This is like back when Eudora was OP. That's a
Mm,
long time ago, right?
right.
But the Eudora used to be 4 digs.
Yeah.
So you would whoever fought Eudora on the turn she got her golden
And there was no
minion.
damage cap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just so obscene, right?
Right.
Because you would get it so early and it'd be so much damage. If the golden minion was anywhere near useful, oh, you're taking it, man. Like, oh my god. Yeah. So that was, and there probably was like Hooktusk or something being really strong at the same time. So you'd be like Eudora into Hooktusk, and like, okay, my game's over. So we have seen this. It's not been every meta, but we've definitely seen in a lot of metas where there are just these powerhouses that will spike really hard on certain turns, and if you fight them, you are just not having a good time. So I don't know how to solve that. I will say that. Like, I don't like it. Just feels like that's a problem that recurs. In some metas, it's probably a little bit better than in others. But like right now, it's really Tograggle and Lich. I think those are the really, really big bullies in like that mid game. And then later on, you have different heroes, right? Where
Yeah.
a
Right.
Maiev can spike really hard, a Barov can spike really hard. But those are still, we're kind of used to that, and it's a bit later in the game. At
Yeah.
least you have a little bit more agency. Um,
So,
yeah, this is like, okay, it's turn 5, and I'm taking 15. I
yeah.
think
Someone
it's,
was asking what they wanted to know my thoughts on Lich Bazal because last time we
yeah,
talked about
sure.
it, I hadn't played it. I had no. I was just like, oh yeah. Now I've played it. I've seen it, and I would say it is hit or miss. I don't think that's unreasonable to say. Like you start like if you're so you can play the game normally, uh, but then it kind of feels like why are you playing this hero?
Yeah,
Um, that's maybe my issue of playing it normally because then you don't really have an advantage. Like, it's like the going 3-on-3 I think is more
3-on-2.
or
All
three
right.
on two. Yeah, it's more lich style, but it's definitely more risk. It's more riskier. I will say you can die. You can just die. I've seen. I went for it, and then I just I
Just
found
die.
like a start, but I had a bad fight, and then I fought like the Togwago, and then I died, and it just
Right.
felt like I had no game. I just felt like I threw an eighth. Like I'm playing my account, I threw an eighth, and maybe that's just like not good if you're playing like high MMR to just be like I can throw an eighth here if I get unlucky, right? Because the tier 3 shop was just ones or whatever, so I was just like I'm just gonna go for it, essentially.
I share that opinion in that Lich, it's you make an unfair board, but you are one
Fight for
losing,
yeah,
yeah, one
one
fight where you lose.
RNG fight from eighth, yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, 25%
Yeah,
to lose
that
means 25% chance to die.
that's what happened.
Yeah,
I lost a flip, and if I didn't lose that flip, I probably like I'm like that's the thing, right? Like if I didn't lose that flip, I'm probably top two. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like so, you put yourself in a position where if you don't lose an unlucky fight or a bad fight, or if you get unlucky or
yeah.
whatever, you're dead. But if you don't lose that fight, like now you're in a position you get so ahead of the curve that you're in a position to win the lobby, do some nasty things, get some good tempo. So it's a hero that I wouldn't recommend it, right? Because you got to know what you're doing, right? So basically, all the heroes I don't recommend doesn't mean you shouldn't play it, but it means you have to be skilled enough to ignore my advice. You know what I mean? Like whatever advice I tell Shady, you could completely ignore, right? And do whatever you want because you're skilled enough. But if you're in the position where you'll take my advice, then I don't recommend it. Essentially, so you can win with this hero and you can dominate the competition. You can just like massively high roll like out of your mind, and also like the demon, the 5/4 demon, the whatever the demon is. If you get that, it's so easy. I got that turn 3 or whatever, right? So free taps. The game is too easy from there. If you just get free taps, just getting 2 gold permanently. Are you frozen, Shady? By the way.
No, I'm here.
Oh,
I'm here.
you okay?
Well,
I literally
yeah,
thought
I
you were
was
frozen.
really dialed in where I'm thinking back on my Lich games, and I've been to I'm to the point now where I will take her when I'm not really too excited about the
Yeah,
others,
yeah, 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 yeah.
but
I
I'm not slam dunking her.
Initially, I tried slam dunking her, and I was like, it's too risky.
I did it too, man. I did it because I got some good games, and I was like, yeah, slam dunk and lich, and they get to top eight, like, yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, one
Maybe
top
not.
eight, and I learned my lesson. Like, okay, this isn't a slam dunk hero,
Yeah,
but it does have the viability, and it is playable, right? Like,
yeah,
but it does look so troll if you've never played this hero. Like
yeah.
you're just like,
Yeah.
why are we tapping leveling? Why? Okay, we're at 12, Collins. What are we doing? We're at 10, Collins. Do something. Play the board. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely a hero I don't recommend. But it can be omega strong. If you get a good start, or any economy, any synergy, can be really really strong because you are just ahead of the curve. The thing is, you have to kind of stay ahead of the curve. That's maybe something people don't do normally. Like you'll level to 3 and then you'll like stay on 3 forever, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna play normal. Then you've lost 20 HP. Like it's not that's not worth doing that. So you have to remember that you still have to find a way to be broken, find a way to power level or whatever, be stronger than your opponents, and then once you get there, then you're good. But it is definitely a risky hero, and I don't recommend it to people that don't know what they're doing. So that would be my
The it can be so easy to lose track of what turn it is when you're playing Lich.
yeah,
When you look at your board and you're like, maybe I can't level them. I'd be strong. Like, oh, they have a bunch of one drops,
yeah,
right? I'm a
yeah,
monster,
yeah,
right? You're like, "Oh, I could have leveled, yeah." So it's really good. Like, look at your deck tracker, look at what turn it is, then think back. If I played a hero my opponent is playing right now, what does my board usually look like?
yeah, yeah.
Because your board is not going to be very representative. And of course, we have to we do have to mention that indeed the Karathnatir, the Mal'Ganis, when you pick that up, ooh, +2 gold every turn, no
Yeah,
cost.
it's so strong. So I do think you want demons in. I
Yeah,
think that the chance of hitting that is worth like, oh, okay, maybe I'll just play it.
I've seen some good players hit that early, and
And
their
it's
game
just it's
was
so
so,
free. It's so
it's
free.
like
I agree.
extra gold to extra gold to extra gold. Yeah, it's like Omo every turn, but you don't even need to level.
Don't even have to do anything. Yeah, and it's permanent. You just get over like for the rest of the game. You don't have to
Yeah.
level. It's like it's so dumb. For sure. I had a game where I got that and I was like running like what like Cali Girls or something with this thing on the board, just like, yeah, I'm gonna keep the gold. Don't really care. But anyways, that's just answering the question. Flurgo.
Maybe a little bit of a digression there, but it's good
Yeah,
to talk about it. She's pretty new, so some cool stuff.
I think it
Yes,
counts.
Flurg.
I
What do you
haven't
think about
played
it?
it. I think it's gonna be
No.
trash. I
Right. You actually had access to this, right? Sure. So redesign passive. After you sell 4 minions, you get a random Murloc. So the big difference now is that you used to sell 1 Murloc, get it in the tavern. Then they nerfed it to sell 2 Murlocs, you get a Murloc in the
unplayable
tavern. Yeah, unplayable. Now you sell 4 minions to get a Murloc in your
in your
hand.
hand. Yeah,
So that's like Eni style ish, right? Where it takes a
right.
long time
Yeah,
to get something, but selling 4 just takes a long
it
time.
takes so long.
Like, at what point in the game have
Are
you
you
sold
selling
4
for? Yeah.
minions?
So the like you have no hero power for like the first 7, 8 turns. Let's just throw that in. Like if you're really playing the game and you're not trolling, oh, I'm just gonna
Yeah,
sell 4 minions to get a Murloc. Like, oh, because that's part of my strategy. Like, you're trolling. So
yeah.
turn 7, turn 8. That's like at minimum is when you start having a hero power.
It's
That's gotta be so good of a hero power. It's not. It's you got a single Murloc. It's not worth it. This is unplayable. It's
like,
just
I
as bad.
really dislike that they just hard nerfed
I
Flurg there.
know. I know.
Because, like, yeah, it was good, but it's fine. Like Flurg wasn't this hero where it's not like a Togwaggle where you're like, oh fuck, there's a Flurg. Oh my god, it's gonna hit me like a truck. It's more like, oh, it's a Flurg. He's gonna have a bunch of really big Murlocs later in the game, right? So Flurg was annoying in that you knew exactly what he had and you wouldn't be able to stop it because, like Alt Flurg was just good, right? Like
And
sell one, get a Melic in Tavern. Yeah.
and once again, like this is where like my argument for like I I do not like their balance philosophy comes in, right? Like where they have to balance for high MMR and low MMR because the initial flurry I would say wasn't like crazy for high MMR, but for lower MMR, all minion type heroes are broken essentially
Yeah.
if they're playable because being able to force a
And
minion
even if they're
type,
unplayable,
huh?
Jiraxis is perfectly fine,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, like Jirax's, Maleficent, any they're all very strong because just telling a player that's new, oh, just buy all the mechs or buy all the demons, like that does work for them, and that beats a lot of players. But once you get to high MMR and people are like nuanced and they know what to do, all of that is like pointless uses. It falls off completely. But since you're looking at the stats and you're like, ooh, Jirax has a over 50, has a good win rate, for most players, you nerf it or you don't balance it. But then once you come to once you pass those that the damage the floors and stuff, and you start seeing like very competent players that know what to do on every game, then your let me just buy all demon strategy just falls off completely. But you can't buff it because you're like, oh, if I buff Jirax's, then oh, it'll dominate the lower MMRs, right? So
Yeah.
you just have this situation where you can't buff heroes that are unplayable. For high level people, for tournament players, these heroes are essentially unplayable, but can't be buffed because they're too good, for everyone else essentially, or the new players. And then you also have this issue where you can't remove the heroes either because they have skins. So you're just stuck in this loop of we just have to progressively make a lot of unplayable heroes for high MMR players because we're adding heroes, we're not going to remove them because they have skins, and then we can't delete them because they have skins, but then we can't make them strong either because they're too good at low MMR. So what can we do? We can only make them weak. Like that's you can only progressively make them weak because you can't make them strong and you can't remove them. So the only solution is to make them weak, and you just have
I
these issues.
wonder what it like. I don't know how this is in other games, but I feel like at least in certain other games, the game is more balanced around pro play.
Yeah.
So I feel like it should be fine to have something dominate lower levels because it is sort of expected that if people care, they're kind of gonna leave that MMR at some point anyway, right? If they care enough, right? They keep playing and they actually keep track of what's strong, etc. And then you just realize why it's not so good. So I don't know. Like
I-
once again, I'm not a
it
developer.
the
I'm not a balancer.
the
Like I
the frustration for new players must just be too much
too much good. Like
of an
people
argument
quitting.
for
Going,
them.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be so funny if you could have like an accurate representation, like percentage wise. You'd have like like us two, and then like 8,000 people say, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
Flair is so
Yeah.
stupid." We're just sitting
Yeah.
here like, "It's
Right.
not so bad, guys. It's not so bad."
We don't have a representative for someone like meandering around 2K MMR. We don't have that.
Yeah.
And then if maybe we had that person's opinion, then we'd be like, oh, you think Flurgo is like broken? Yeah, like it's very very strong. Like that's all I see in the lobbies. Just people like play Jiraxes and they hero power and it's so strong we can't do anything, or they have any and they just get free stuff. Like how's that like free mechs on the mech hero? That's so strong. Like, and we don't have that representation to be like, well, yeah, it seems really annoying, huh? But it's just rough because for us, all we see is like, well, you just make a bad hero and like you can't solve that problem because if you've buff it, it becomes oppressive. Um,
Yeah, like obviously, I mean, I would like it more if the game was balanced more around high MMR, but I
Obviously,
understand that it might not be the best strategy for Blizzard as a company. I don't know, like as a
Eh,
and this is where I maybe lack the ability to put myself in the
but
place of the
are they
new.
always doing best strategy for Blue as a company? I would say, maybe
I don't know.
not.
Whatever they believe, right, in the moment, right? I guess. But what I was gonna say is that I find it like if I'm in that position, right, and I see that something is beating me and it's OP, then I will be like, okay, so what are people
Yeah,
doing at
yeah,
the
that's
highest
because
level?
you are a good player, Shady.
Yeah, like
It's not
I will.
fair. It's not
I
fair to think about it like that.
I know, but I just I find it hard to imagine that you lose to something and that you don't go looking for a resource online to beat it. I like
You're just a casual. Like you don't
oh,
care. You're just like, man, these are strong, and I don't understand why. Let's.
yeah, I get it. Like it's so easy to find information, right? Just
I
like look
know.
at it
I
and
know.
be like, okay, like why am I not seeing it like a single flare goal? Like why are these people picking my F? Oh, they're getting 3-6 drop shots. 9
Yeah,
gold.
I
That's
know.
pretty good. What? Like I thought my F sucked. Yeah. Anyways, all right. Let's go. But I do like this little meander. It's a long episode, but I do
Yeah,
like this little meander where we just say, God, I miss old Flurk, and I hate why we can't have old Flurk.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. All right.
It's just my one, like my one. I have a lot of gripes apparently, but
Maybe the
one of
bigger
the
one.
gripes.
That's what I said.
So here we've got your favorite hero is Crag. Apparently you got a buff. You can talk
Favorite is
about it.
bad. Yeah. Yeah, so basically, this does not change your gameplay because you should not hold your piggy bank past 10 gold. But if you want to, if you're feeling it, if it's a ghost lobby and you just kind of get away with it, you can now hold the piggy bank for more than 10 gold. But
I feel like you're
this
insane. If you're if it's like
yeah,
turn
so
11 and you haven't
I
touched it.
wanna emphasize on this that this banks 1 gold per turn. So when you're on 3 gold turn 1, this is not on 3 gold. Because you don't even hold this for 10 gold, right? Like whenever you're in the game and it's like the 10 gold turn, you've popped it
Oh.
already, right? You
Ooh,
pop it on the 9 gold turn or
I
so.
could see that also being a buff where you just start with 2 extra gold. I could see that too. The one I had was the times it plus one
Yeah,
plus five. The
it's
problem with
it's
the two
going to
extra
be
goals,
better on that.
I don't know how it changes like the
Some
turns
sick
where you
wins and
yeah when you can abuse. That's why I like
stuff.
the ramping
Yeah,
variant, but I don't
I still
mind.
think that that might be a little bit too much, but yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways,
this
um,
needs a buff. Like
sure.
half of the
Yeah,
heroes need a buff minimum. Like so,
let's. It'd be fun to see. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know if you make it 1 to 2 if it'd be like too good. But yeah, it'd be
I
like would I pick it over Togba? Probably not. So
oh yeah, exactly. So
yeah. All right. Cool. So going
Gilling,
gets some functional changes, right?
yeah, some changes. So the passive everyone on Going right now is using the turn 3 and nothing else. Like nothing
Yeah.
else really
Trial
matters.
for
So
trial for trial
they're
for.
trying to adjust it to where you think about the other ones. So the first one is now instead of +2 attack, gain +2 attack and 1 health, you gain 1 health now. Does this change things? Maybe. Like, but I don't know, right? Like when I looked at this, like my conclusion is like I have to see someone else do it
Yeah, yeah.
for me to know. But I'm not gonna
You're in
like
icy strat with EPL
yeah, I'm
now.
not gonna waste my MMR to
Well,
figure out.
so buddy meta, that was pretty much the same thing. We're like, someone's gonna find a good curve with this
Yeah,
buddy, and it's not gonna be me.
yeah, yeah. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Um,
So I'm not confident. Like with the buddies, I was confident, right? That and I did mess around a bit with it. And we, Gelwing with buddies did have this cool thing where you could take EPL, right? The 5
yeah, yeah,
to discount the level because the buddy would then make it worth
yeah,
it.
and it was good.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was solid.
it was very good. Yeah,
This one at first glance doesn't feel like we're going to be doing it
yeah.
different. But
That's how I feel as well.
maybe quests, right? Maybe quests change it. Like because maybe Westfall is actually okay with like change the stats on a minion, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but we'll see. Like it doesn't feel like it's gonna change, but you never know in a different meta.
Buff half the heroes or nerf the top half. I'm more see so Shady. We talked about this earlier. I'm more buff them, but Shady is like you don't want to create a situation where all the heroes can deal 15 to you, and you have significantly more no agency games, right? So
Yeah, so
that
it's just
is
like
yeah,
you got to be careful with how you buff them, I
yeah,
guess, right?
yeah,
Like you don't want to turn everything into a whack toggle being like or toggle being strong in the mid game.
yeah.
Um,
So I mean, it's probably nerf some of the top heroes and then buff all the weaker heroes for me.
yeah, I am definitely on the buff the weaker heroes train as well. The example that I bring up all the time is Pyramid. I think that was a good one. That was a really good one.
I
Like
was
Pyramid,
scared initially, but now like
yeah,
the
yeah,
problem
but
is
it was
they've introduced more power creep where the
yeah,
pyramids
yeah.
like
Pyramid was solid. Pyramid was really solid, right, when he first got buffed, and then they just introduced stronger stuff.
stronger stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
just
like
so weird, right? Because like initially I was like that was really strong. Like, I can't believe
the
it.
the meta changed, right? A little bit out of Pyramid's favor, it felt like.
Yeah.
Felt like with like old Chroma Wing stuff, like you could do some really, nasty things.
But
Anyways,
they added things like Uther and stuff where you can now have like big minions that for instantly, and if you have like a huge, like a very high health taunted minion, it's taking 15 now. It's like like if you
yeah,
buffed a trickster and now you have like a 15/15, that thing
I
could like maybe solo your trickster.
I find the Pyramid stuff. I really like 3-on-3 with them, and then buff
And then
three.
find a good unit. Yeah.
Yeah, or Chroma Wing starts still. Like even though new Chroma Wing's not crazy, it's pretty good to like tier one curve on Pyramid and then just have this like uh unit that keeps gaining attack but also keeps gaining health. So I find that's probably the best tier one target for it.
Fair enough.
Anyway, not to dive too deep on Pyramid, but I think Pyramid was an elegant solution in that he didn't turn into a hero that was continuously damage capping people, but it was a solid pick that allowed you to play the game. And it's almost like an anti take 15 because it's like I'm going to be able to buff something, so my combat is almost never going to be atrocious. Just because I get combat stats for free. So my combat is almost never going to be atrocious. And a lot of the time, those stats were concentrated on a low
One
tier minion,
unit. Yeah.
and then that minion survives and then the opponent takes like 4 or 5. So it's kind of win-win where like you're not taking a lot of damage, you're not dealing a lot of damage. Like I really like that when the mid game is not so volatile because that's where you get your most low agency games. Like you have a very volatile mid game and you're playing a game with 10 health all of a sudden.
Yeah, I think you want to create heroes that go 3-on-3 less, or encouraged to go 3-on-3 less. Those are the ones that cause problems, where you level to 4 quicker than others, and then also you can have a full board of really powerful threes, and if they don't die, you just take 15.
Yeah, like a good Gilwing or a good cookie game
That's the
also
same
really.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah, seven gold is the danger turn. 7 and 8 gold, right? For people that went 3-on-3, let's say you're warrior curving. So you just have 1 drops on your board. If you are a warrior curve on 7 gold or 8 gold and you go up against a Gilwing or a cookie that went 3-on-3, it's very possible you're taking 15. So I do like what you're saying there, where a lot of the 3-on-3 curves do really smack people in the face hard.
so you just want to be aware of that whenever you're balancing or creating minion adjustments, like how encouraged are they to go 3-on-3, and if they are encouraged to go 3-on-3, then maybe you want to tone what's making that happen, tone that down. So that's what I would
Yeah,
look at, but
or
I'm not the
like
designer.
something with the damage system, but then we're going too deep in, like that's too specific. Um, anyways, yeah. Like I just, if there's too many, like let's say there's a cookie and a Togwaggle and a, Gilwing in the lobby, then you can have these like really,
You just
really
get
bad.
murdered.
Yeah. All right. Let's continue on. So a lot of this we covered initially, right? A
Yeah,
lot
the
of these.
demon stuff we can kind of scroll over.
Yeah. So once
Just
again, that's the previous podcast.
yeah,
Like,
if you really want to talk about the demon stuff, you go to the previous cards press. But we think they're good. The one demon one that I think it needs to like talk about itself is the Legion Overseer. I
yeah.
think
Well,
I
we can cover. Yeah, that
yeah.
seems good.
I think that one is specific, but we can go in order. Nether Drag 05, 0 attack, 5 health at the end of your turn. Your dragon's 1 attack. This does synergize with Whelp Smuggler, but it's
Yeah.
still kind of like awkward. I don't know when you buy this. That's maybe my issue.
So this is a 2-drop,
It is a 2-drop, yeah.
and it starts out as a
A
1.
1/5, yeah.
I think I am okay buying this, definitely with a Glyph Guardian or as a
1/3.
pair, right? Definitely happy to do that. That's kind of low-hanging fruit, right? Like Glyph Guardian or a pair. But that's a definitive for me. And then Whelp Smuggler, I think, is also a slam dunk.
So you
Other than that, I think I would just look at the shop and be like, okay, am I just taking a 1/5 with some upside here or not?
Yeah, so you need synergy with it, and then you're kind of also like leaning toward dragons already by buying this one card.
Well, again, quests, right, will heavily influence. If you have the quest where you need to change the stats, you'll take this.
Okay,
One
that's
dragon
true.
or not,
Yeah.
right? So
Or buy dragons or something. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, the thing is, like, the turn you get the quest is not the turn you're most likely to buy this. You know what I mean? Like, you're likely to buy this turn
Sure,
5,
sure,
and
sure,
then the
sure. But
turn
I guess
afterwards.
I guess something that will also happen is that once you're more familiar with the meta, you're gonna know roughly which boards complete which quests, and you can already start looking at the shop and say, "There's
This
only
will
one way."
increase the quest
Yeah, but,
chances.
like, you can almost say, like, these 3 minions don't really do quests well. At least the Nether Drake will do that quest well, right? So it could be that you look at a specific shop and you say, "These minions just don't really do anything for
So
quests." Like,
basically, you need more information. Is what you're telling me.
yeah, just get more experience, and then you'll be able to just be like, "Aha, these 2 minions I know are good for specific quests, so I'll just grab them." And then if I get either of them, I can double down into that direction.
But that's hard. That's a hard
Yeah.
thing to really understand.
It's a high level concept for sure. It's a higher level concept. You're gonna do some preemptive shopping and kind of hope that you guessed correctly that your minions are gonna lead you towards that quest. I think so.
Yeah, this card enables macro cheese with Volden. Yeah, having 0 attack minions always is
You got to do it
problematic.
instant, right? But
Yeah,
yeah,
like you might say they've already messed up, and this should just be a 1/5 base, so that you throw away that
I,
option.
I, I didn't hate the 0 power mackerel cheese because that was really one of the weaker ones because it's like they have a Leroy, you're screwed. They have a blaster. I don't know if the blaster messes it up, but like you have a Wind Fury, you're screwed. Like there's
I don't
so
know.
many things where
Sure,
you're just
whatever.
you
I guess so. It's not that important. I guess
yeah,
in the
but
grand scheme.
it is cool, right? If your opponent has just big stats, no Leroy, no Wind Fury, no nothing, then you do just win because you haven't. So for anyone who has never seen this, because we are talking about like, oh, everybody knows what the mackerel cheese is. You have a 0 power minion now in the Nether Drake. You used to have Egg. Egg was a 0 power minion. So what you would do is you would make your taunted mackerel 0 attack, or yeah, you would make your taunted mackerel 0 attack. This way, that mackerel would never attack, which means that your opponent would attack, they would hit the taunted mackerel with module on it, and then after you moduled it, you made it 0 power. So that would put a shield on your other mackerel,
Other
which you
macro,
would
yeah.
put all your stats on, right? So you try to make that a 50-50 or whatever. But it honestly doesn't matter
It
for the
doesn't
purpose of
matter
this.
what the
It
stats
could be
are.
2
It
power.
could
It's
be
just
two.
gonna
Yeah, it could have one
it's
attack.
gonna
It
take
doesn't matter.
forever. So if you want to be an asshole, turn it into 1 power.
Well, but yeah, but then you just relog.
You never have a shopping phase. So yeah. Anyways, so what
And
would
you know
happen is
what's weird if you do that? You skip the fight, but the turn timer will be whatever the long, like how long the fight is. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Okay, so if you have really long fights, the turn timer increases.
yeah,
Yeah, so they watched it, but you just have like 2 minutes or 3 minutes
yeah,
to
exactly,
do
exactly. I
whatever.
mean, it has to be, right? It
And
has
they're
to
I
be.
know, and they're stuck in the fight. While you're
Well,
just
they might
like,
reconnect as well, and nobody's watching the fight. But yes, yes, yes. So they would attack your Taunt Mackerel, then you attack with your guy, lose the shields, but the Taunt Mackerel regains the shield, and like ping pong, ping pong. It's basically guaranteed ping pong. as long as they don't Leroy or Windfury you. And that's going to be possible again, but very, I would say, fringe case scenario. That's you can easily go 100 games and never see it.
Yeah, and the first time the first turn, you're not gonna like play around that, right? So if you can one shot, so if you're like tier 5, right, most likely,
Yeah,
and
they got
they're
50.
under 15, you're dead, right?
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Well,
the issue.
I feel in this day and age, if I can say it like that, assuming your opponent will not be leading with a Leroy is kind of bold, though,
Really,
right?
I don't see Leroy leads that often. Like,
Well, I mean, a Leroy on their board at any position will cut the combo
cut it
short, right?
out. Yeah.
Yes.
That's why you run 5 macro shady. I mean, you always say, "Oh, that's weird." Just
Just
run
make
5.
5 macros. Yeah, I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah, you just
I made a
chill.
golden macro recently. I was thinking of you. I was like, Collins would like it. I'll make it.
I don't know if I would like it. I'd be like, I'd be like, okay. Uh,
All
but
right.
yeah, it's not that common, to be fair. Amber Guardian. I didn't see this at all, but I think maybe I just wasn't paying attention. This with Terragosa broken. This without Terragosa, I sleep.
So 3 attack, 2 health.
Yeah.
Start of combat. Give something 3/3 in Divine Shield.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, we have the 4/4 that buffs +2/+2. Is that being removed? Let me
It's
see.
moved to tier 4.
It's moved to tier 4.
Yeah, which I don't understand, but yeah, that's what happened to it.
Wait, where do I see this?
You're talking about
Oh,
the
that's Draconid Enforcer, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I was talking about the 4/4 that gives 2/2.
Oh, that one. Oh,
It's still in its
Twilight.
seeds.
Twilight.
Yeah,
Yeah. What about it?
I think that's removed. Right? I'm just comparing it to that, right? Because this is a dragon buff on tier 3. That was also a dragon buff on tier 3.
Yeah.
So tempo wise, this is way, way better. Giving Divine Shield and
Oh
+3/+3.
yeah,
And you
Divine
get
Shield. Yeah, it's just not permanent though.
yeah, it's not perma, so it's not something. So my instinct is that this is obviously very dependent on what you roll, but you have 2 of these. That seems amazing, right?
Did we confirm whether it buffs shielded minions already? It should. It should, right? Like, let's say you
Oh,
have
right,
Bronze
right.
Warden, is it useless? Like, that would be
It
so scam.
it should
It's
prioritize unshielded ones, I assume.
copium.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
well,
a copium take for me.
we can hope. We can hope. I don't think that's copium, but yeah. God. All right. Um, no,
Do you remember Selfless initially? Like, come on, like
yeah,
it
but we
hits.
have other stuff, but that was so painful. Be like, yeah, selfless with the because so guys, for any of you who you know aren't veterans of the game, selfless was it used to be able to go onto already shielded minions, and then you would just waste it.
Yeah, like it's so strong.
Yeah.
You
All right.
forget that they let that happen. You
Yeah,
forget
yeah,
because it's just
that was a thing, right? So, okay, John actually just confirmed that it will prioritize, so you won't waste your
okay.
shield if it's avoidable. So.
Okay, but what if it's like what if there's only Bronze Warden? Will it target the Bronze Warden or is it like it's gone? Like
It should.
it
Like, I
should,
mean,
right?
I don't understand. Like that to me is not confusing at all. Give another
Yeah,
friendly minion give another friendly dragon +3/+3 and divine shield. It's just gonna like try to give it shield and be like, oh, you already have it. Okay, whatever.
fair enough. Yeah, I mean theoretically it should work, and I'm glad that it prioritizes because
Yeah.
it would be weird if it didn't. But I do
Yeah.
think with
Yeah.
Terragosa, check mark. With
Yeah.
maybe like Glyph Guardian is also kind of like pretty good, right? Like if
Yeah,
you
yeah. I think this is really solid tempo, but it's conditional, right? You need a dragon. So
so I'm so interested in what AFK looks like after this. I really
yeah,
am.
there's a couple of hits that man.
Because
Um,
you can just hit Terragosa this and you're kind of good. You can hit you've got Quobors, right? That's always been good. You've
that's like brutes, right?
yeah.
But it
Yeah,
gets into the shield with better.
yeah.
Jesus
And then
Christ.
you have the pirate thing, right? The pip is now on
It,
3, so you can just hit double pip and then triple until you get a
it's
4.
your turn earlier. Like you triple too early, right?
Oh, you
It's
just
like a
hold
three.
it. Just hold it for Kofi.
Yeah,
But,
you can throw one round and take a 4 after that. Because you're on 2, right? And then you
yeah,
tier to
and then
3,
you go to
which
3. Yeah, take a 4. So
you can do
yeah.
that. Like
So I
double
mean,
pip it.
I don't think it's like insane, but it is something, right? So and then you have
Yeah.
the demon as well, which is really I think
So,
really
yeah,
powerful.
let's cover that one right now.
Yeah. So I mean I'm just interested in what AFK like. Maybe Shay's gonna be like, you know what, AFK, you know what? It's actually kind of
I'm
playable.
ready to have my heart broken again.
I'm
Okay.
ready. I'm ready to for you to agree that AFK
This,
was fine the whole time.
this is like this is like you picking Rakanisha and be like, all right, Rakanisha, I'm gonna give you one shot. This better be power level into Deflecto Sensei, or I'm never picking. So that's gonna be me with AFK. Like, all right, Amber Guardian Taragosa, or I'm out. You heard me? Right? Give me my cards, or I never play you again.
Uh, but Legion, I do think this card is very, very good. Like
This
very, very.
looks really good. Yeah.
Yeah. We got to turn. What was it? Turn 4 or something, and it's just
Play with a driver, right?
and
Yeah. Okay.
it's so strong. And
As good as we thought.
if you
Okay.
get a pair of this sucker, right? The first one's 4, the second one's 6, and everything else for the rest of the game is +4 from your shop. Like, ugh, disgusting. I think if demons are in, going 3-on-3 just makes a lot of sense. Just like the chance to get this is very, very appealing. So definitely a strong one.
So let's clarify as well for the listeners. We're talking about the Legion Overseer,
Yeah.
and the thing that is not clear, I think, when you read this card, the card's text is minions in Bob's Tavern have +2/+2. Now, one interpretation is that the buff would disappear if you buy the minion, which is like somewhat of an okay interpretation because you're like, okay, well, demons, the whole spiel is to eat the shop, so to manipulate the shop, but the buff wouldn't last when you buy it. No, the buff lasts. It's the same as when you like Kurtrus, right? Like you buff the shop. It's not like you buy it and suddenly the buff is gone.
Ooh,
So
is Kurtrus better? Because now you have the 2/2 aura, and then demons are eating
right, and
things.
then you need more.
Kofi,
Well,
I'm not playing Kurtrus, but I'm just
that
saying.
was already a thing with Soul Devour, where you would buy 5/5 Soul Devours from the shop. So
Yeah.
that was already something you can notice. But yeah, so Legion Overseer looks extremely good on tempo because a 3 gold 4/4, that's not something you're super happy buying, but it's also not something where you're like, okay, this is the worst thing ever. And then the next minion you buy, that very same turn, is already +2/+2.
Yeah.
So you
It
make a
makes up for itself immediately. Like, you're not even losing any stats to do this. Like you're in fact gaining stats. Like if you bought a 6/6 and a 4/4 on average, you're like, wow, that's a pretty good turn. Like on turn 3. Like,
yeah, you buy one Deflecto, that's a 5/4. That's a
if you have
5/4.
if you have 2, it's a 7/6.
Yeah, yeah, okay, but that's a turn after. That's a turn after. We're talking like the first, but yeah, it's
Well,
sure.
I mean, if you're playing like Cookie or
Yeah, yeah.
Gilwing,
Okay.
right?
Cookie,
Like the
Cookie
same turn.
theoretically Overseer Deflecto, which
Yeah.
is disgusting, right? Like, yeah. Whew. So yeah, this one definitely looks like it's gonna be yeah, an insta pick for now, right? We need to try a bit more, but this, like we can say that it's likely this is gonna get nerfed, or
I haven't thought about that. You know what? I haven't thought about what needs nerf. I in terms of the nerfs and buffs, I've been thinking about quest rewards and stuff like that. Not really the minions, but
hmm.
I would say yeah, this is on the chopping block probably. None of the other demons I would say are necessarily like that. The dragons not really feeling like that to me. Pip scares me kind of
Right.
as
Okay.
well. Just you only need 2 to make a golden copy. That's so strong. Okay, the reason why this scares me is because I've played Storybook Brawl, and they have a card just like this, and it's very good. And you just
Okay.
buy it, you just hold it, and you
Yeah,
wait.
just buy it. Yeah,
You
that's how you
just
do it.
buy it and you wait because you're like, I'm gonna find another one, and
Right.
so that's why I'm like extremely scared about a card like this because it just allows triples or goldens. Goldens used to be like this premium thing that like, ooh, you got a golden, wow, and it really feels like with this and with Treasure Seeker at least, like
forcing triples
they're
is
really
huge.
not like as worried about giving everyone triples or multiple triples. And then Elise, this is getting nerfed. This thing, I I
Treasure seeker.
can't believe you can repeat it. I can't. I saw it. I played it. I was like, you can do it next turn. They like. Hopper was telling me, oh, we could just do. I was like, what? You can just keep getting golden
Yeah.
monkeys. Like you can just. It doesn't stop. I was like, how is that okay?
Well,
That's not okay. That
the monkey itself is a 6/6
yeah,
taunt? Or?
yeah. The monkey is a tier 1/6/6 taunt. But
Okay, that's actually crazy that the card itself also has a little tempo attached to it, right? Yeah.
but you can just do it again. Like it doesn't stop. I was like, what?
Man, that's so good with refreshing, right? You
It's
have
good with
refreshing.
everything. It
Yeah, yeah, no, no, no. But
doesn't.
imagine if you're not even paying for the refresh, right?
I know, but
Yeah.
I,
Now, one thing you could say is that with quests introducing, it might not be as important, right, to triple like it was before, where you're looking for direction with your triples. Now, obviously, triples are still good, and you're happy to take high tier
it
minions. Yeah.
it does depend on your quest reward, right? Because the thing about the quest reward is not all your quest rewards are going to give you direction, right? Some of them are just like a bit of tempo here or there. So the
Yeah.
game, there are some quest rewards where like you're playing to win, essentially, right? You got this quest reward, now you can win. There are other quest rewards where you're playing to like to stay alive, top four, and then like things like this that give you that direction. Essentially, oh, I get this, I roll 5, I can get a direction, is extremely useful for those players, right? So I think even though you're right, like there's gonna be some quests that like you don't care about this at all, it doesn't matter. But like if you're playing like the like smoking gun, you have 5 attack, right? You hit this, you're like, okay, I can get something. I can
Let
do,
me just get my direction,
yeah, I
right?
can get
Yeah.
my direction, and if I miss, I don't care. I'll do it next turn.
Do it again.
Like
I'll do it again.
I
I'll do
can't
it again.
believe you can keep doing this. Like you, I can't believe it. It just really just. I'm shocked that you can just keep going and going and going. Like that.
What this card reminds me of, it's like Elise, her buddy, right? It was that like 4/4 that if you could generate enough of a lead that you could keep it, it would be such an obscene snowball.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, the question with this card is like, do you generate enough of a lead that you're happy to keep a 5/5 no tribe or no type on your board? That's the thing, right? Because if the answer is yes, you generate enough of a lead that it doesn't hurt your fight to keep a 5/5 no type on your board, then you just do it again, right?
Yeah. I
Exactly.
mean, this thing wins more. You know what I mean? Like if you get a
Yeah.
good situation where you got enough of a power spike, then you can just keep it, right? It's like keeping a witch wing or whatever, right? Like there are situations where you just keep it. You're like, whatever, I can still milk.
I guess Orgazoa, another example, right?
Yeah.
Like if you can keep 2 Orgazoas on your board as a Naga player, you just get stronger and stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
And stronger.
I just like maybe this should just be a battle cry or something, right? Like yeah, you can sell it, but like okay,
Right.
like,
I have not played with it yet, so
okay.
I'm
I
curious to
I'm
feel.
I'm surprised. I'm just surprised you can keep doing it. Like there's no I don't know. This I'm I was so shocked when I saw it. I'm just like, wow, you can.
Victor makes a point in the chat where he says Eudora looks at this card and people leaves, right? Because Eudora has to pay 5 gold, but
Yeah.
it's separated by 5 turns, right? Or by
Yeah,
4
it's crazy.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
because it's essentially this card asks you, would you like to get Eudora's
Dora's hero power.
in 1 turn? No, that's not true. That's not true. You got to buy the golden monkey.
So it's cheaper than a turn, right? Because
Wait, but
you're spending
monkey,
8 gold.
wait, Collins, does
Yeah.
the monkey appear in the shop?
Yeah, in the shop, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, then obviously Eudora's is still better, but
Quote unquote.
yeah, it's a whole hero power. It's supposed to be better, right? It's supposed to be better. Right? So, but yeah, you do still. It is 8, right? Yeah. Well, technically 7 because you can. Well, technically 6 because
Yeah,
you
I
could.
know. I know. I'm
Yeah,
trying to be generous. Like 8 is not
yeah.
the real cost of it.
The reason why we say technically 6 is you could sell the monkey and you could sell the 6 drop. You
Yeah,
wouldn't, right? But
yeah.
technically it's 6 gold. You can sell it back. So okay.
So I mean, and you can do this like twice a turn if you want, right? Like, cause you buy it and then you roll and then you sell your other minions and then okay, you're spending 6, so you're spending 12, right? You can spend 12 in a turn. Let's say you're
You
playing Gallywix, you can spend 18 in a turn. You can spend 24.
Callywix is like,
You
and I
can
will buy
literally
my
just
third golden monkey now.
and it's not like rolling is inherently invaluable.
Like I will say again, right? Like you have these sometimes you have these games where you just have golden refreshing.
Hmm.
Like just imagine that, man. Like every Elemental is 4 rerolls.
Yeah, that's
I mean, that's
I know.
crazy.
Hey Shady, I'm aware. I can't I
Yeah, no,
can't
but
believe you could continue
it
doing this.
already seems good without a
Any
refreshing.
synergy without any synergy, it's good. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, excited to try this and scared for the future. But we know that this is a patch where levers will be pulled, buttons will be pushed to balance things because there's just too many variables to get it right from the first time. So may as well enjoy the mayhem at the start, and some things will get tuned for sure.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, I yeah. Welcome to the patch. uh, Random the
Yeah,
Mastermind. We've kind of talked about this a little bit, but I think they removed Witchwing, which I think is a big deal, right? Because
that's, that's a big
essentially,
one for Reno, man. Yeah, Reno loves hero powering that.
yeah, I'm pretty sure like the stealth one, right? The +8 health stealth, like with Witchwing, I think maybe they said that was too strong. So
Oh, but I mean, Doomsayer's in, right?
yeah, Doomsayer's still in, yeah, but they didn't care about it. It's for Avenge, right? It's harder.
I do get that, but I mean, still love light spawn. Like maybe it's not specific to that. Maybe it's just, hey, we need space, right? We're introducing
Sure,
no
yeah,
things. So.
yeah,
But
because
yeah, no, I mean, I do get it. Putting stealth on an S matron seems pretty good.
um, but they kind of introduced like a mini similar card, right? Like I would say Rendo's very similar to that Avenge Milk kind of engine, or
Yeah,
on tier 4. You get a
yeah.
card on tier 4. It's a guaranteed card, but you can't like milk twice, right? Is the downside.
It seems like we are being introduced to these cards to be like, well, if you are strong enough and you can afford to keep this on your board, you're going to snowball, right? Like the Rendus, the Treasure Seeker Elise, and then I think there was one more, but whatever. It's these like you said, the Avenge minion, right? Like you can keep it on your board, you're going to get more value.
Yeah.
So this feels like one of those triple into it really early
Early, yeah, yeah.
or 4-on-4 kind of things where you're going to be very happy to grab this.
I agree. I think it's really good early, and then if you can't use it early, it kind of falls off, and you're not gonna like buy it late in the game. Like it doesn't really solve our purpose at that point. But if you can get it early, this seems really playable.
Yeah,
So kind of down.
that is true. Like Blazing is like hero powered us with Reno, right? Like you go for the old Avenge curve where you triple into a 4-drop,
Oh yeah,
and then you
it's
hero power.
replacing Witch Ring. Is essentially
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I feel like Golden Witch Ring on
it's better.
Reno.
It's better.
Yeah,
I know. But like
they're all
I'm trying to give
good.
you the comparison for like
Sure, sure, sure.
why it's there.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Okay.
And then you have Blue Shell, right? Which I think I was talking like during the preview. I was like, just buy it every time you see it. You're gonna lose at some point. And Hopper's like, why? But
Oh,
I think you can just buy this every time you see it. Like if you're healthy enough. Like
hmm.
that's how I look at it. And then,
See, that's cool, and that might very well be the right approach. My brain was like, I'm not buying this shit, but that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
well, that's
Uh,
how I look. It's 2 gold. It's just 2 gold for free. Like at some point, and you can always like at the beginning of your turn, you can just sell it. You just go to
yeah.
15. You go to 20. Like it doesn't matter. Then you pop off and you win the game.
Very tempo heavy though. So, but I can see it, right? Like I'm already changing my opinion on it a little bit.
Okay.
I think it's obviously dependent on what your health is,
Yeah, you
right?
have to
Like,
survive. You have to be able to survive a hit. That's the one
exactly.
caveat. But if you can
Uh,
survive a hit, like you're above 20, just
yeah.
buy it. That's how I look at it.
I don't think that's actually a bad approach at all.
Okay.
That might be the standard. Maybe this, is a
You
maybe
know
it's
what
not. But
scares me? You
what?
like once people are good, you're like, oh, they lost. Oh no.
Oh man, they lost the turn.
They lost
Fuck.
the
They have
turn. We
20,
were
they have
screwed.
20 goals, man. I'm dead. I'm dead. They lost their previous time. That's hilarious. Man.
I
That's
legit think
hilarious.
that like once you get to high level like tournament play, you're like, oh my
You
god, dude.
play against Collins, be like, he lost the last round. It's over. It's over. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead.
But
He's got
yeah.
like he's got like a golden shell and another regular one in his hand waiting.
But no, you don't have to play it. You don't have to play it. It doesn't have to be your board.
Yeah,
That's what
so
some people are thinking, but no,
that's the thing, right? It's on the text. So if you see it in the shop, I wonder if it'll be like animated or so to
it's not.
indicate.
But
Okay.
it
You
should
know,
be. It should be
you,
animated. I think that's a fair thing. But like,
yeah.
whatever.
Oh, yeah, doesn't matter.
But yeah, that's my approach to this card. You just buy it and then you wait and then you lose and you win. You just
If you can survive a loss, buy this card.
because like it's too much tempo. I'm also just gonna say like if you're
Oh,
playing this correctly, it's so much tempo.
so
Like
it's not animated in the shop, but it is like the golden border when it's in your hand, apparently, to indicate that it will sell for more.
yeah, in
Uh,
hand, but
which
like
is normal. But
if
I
it's in
mean,
your hand, you know.
yeah, but it's kind of normal that it's not
Yeah,
animated in the shop, I
I know
think.
it is normal, but I think this is a unique card where
It'd be helpful for
it
new
could be
players.
useful.
That's true. Be
Yeah,
like, hello, free money.
it was
Free money.
animated for you in the shop. Oh,
Oh,
interesting.
it was animated for you in the
I've
shop.
never lost without it in my hand.
And Vic is 100% sure on that one. Okay,
Okay,
cool.
that's
So
cool.
we'll see fast enough, right? Like when the patch
Yeah,
hits,
yeah.
because we're buying this every time according to Collins. So, and I don't think that's a bad take. I don't think that's a bad take at all.
You also saw it animated. Okay, so it is animated in the shop. Okay, that helps. That helps.
That is awesome, awesome,
Yeah,
good stuff.
it means you can kind of roll faster, and you don't have to
Yeah,
like mind.
you don't
Yeah,
have to like double check your brain and be like, okay,
every time. Yeah. Okay, that's
yeah.
good. And now the last card, Tea Master Theodotar. I think this
Mhm.
is unplayable. And I thought it was unplayable before I played it. Now that I've seen it, I think it's still unplayable. So I just don't
I
think it does enough. And it has no type, and it's not. There's no comp that it fits in cleanly.
I think this is a Millhouse card.
Okay.
I think this
Yeah,
is
that means
specific.
it's unplayable, right? I think this
Yeah, like
card works on one hero. Like, it's
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
like
mean, it's niche, right? So that is it's probably not good enough
I,
if it only works for one hero, but well,
six
maybe
drop
Galaxy.
shouldn't be niche, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
but I'm
massive.
just saying like it'd be cool. But I do agree that might be too just it's kind of that problem we've seen with other cards where if they don't buff themselves,
Themselves, yeah, they rough. Like maybe if this also buffed itself, right? Like give 3 minions and this itself +2/+2.
yeah, but maybe that's too strong. I don't
I
know.
I, I don't know if
It
that's
sounds like it's not too strong. Trust me,
yeah.
guys. It's like,
I mean
uh,
maybe, but you can't really run a 6/6 unless it's broke. Like you can't run a minion that doesn't scale unless it's like it's like core to the comp. You know what I mean? And this is never a
yeah.
core to the comp unit, right? And you're basically you kind of have to have two dead spaces to
Mhm.
make this
Yeah,
work.
no, I mean, especially in a new expansion, man, I never have board space. Like, I don't know what to cut. Like, I always like in a new expansion, I need 9 or 11 board slots. Like when Boars came out, when Nagas came out, I was like, man, I have to run 2 Atissas, but I also have to run the Organzoas, and I have to run the Spellcraft, and I have to run the Wranglers. So, yeah,
It
at the
turns
start of it,
every neutral into a jug. But do you want to be buying jugs? Like that
yeah.
is the like that's the question,
No,
Jope.
no, 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 no. Do you want to be playing a jug that doesn't work with Bran?
Yeah, it doesn't work with brand. Yeah.
So once again, if you're Millhouse, yeah, kind of.
Right.
So some we can again, right? We can create some situations where you triple into this really early. You have brand on your board. You can play Reef Explorer and it's Pog, right? But that's so specific. So it feels like right now, right? I might be off here, but this feels like a Millhouse, maybe a Gallywix card, like heroes that can actually buy cards and cycle them without feeling bad about it. That's
But
it. So yeah,
the other issue is you need to have minions that you want buffed. That's the other core thing.
yeah.
So let's say you triple into a 6 and you hit this, and then you have like, alley cat. Like that's your, like, because like, it's not, you're not doing anything by buffing this alley cat. You need to have a cleave. You need to have, so you essentially need like Hydra, Wildfire, or Hydra, Deflecto
Mhm.
already.
And then you
Bef-
have the issue. Sorry, go ahead,
no,
finish
no,
your
no,
thought, please.
no, go for it.
I was gonna say, then you have the issue that this has that vibe of like the one Cali on tier 5,
Yeah,
right? Where
right, yeah.
the good 6 drops reward you for tiering, or a lot of them, right? You play Orgazoa, you get really reward for tiering. You play Dark Gaze, hey, you spending your money however you want, man. I'm buffing your boards, right? So like tiering is not a problem with a lot of the good 6 drops. Like even an Uther, right? Uther is going to make you insta strong and you can tier. With something like this, it feels like you're stuck buying cards and you're not going to 6.
It
And it feels
encourages you
like
to lose. You know, essentially,
uh,
you hit this and you're like, oh, let me just buy neutrals. Oh, I bought four
yeah,
neutrals and I got
you're no
plus.
longer playing for first, kind of, right? Like you're
Yeah,
bunkering down, you're just cycling. So, like sometimes maybe that's the way to go. And,
yeah.
and once again, I think if you're a Millhouse, this is fine because you're like Millhouse can do some crazy shit, right? With a tavern like this. So you get like 4 neutrals in one tavern, you're like buy, 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 sell, 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 sell. It's super cheap.
Yeah,
So
I guess at best I would say this is like a top four minion. You know what I mean? And you do need to already have at least one or two synergistic minions that you don't feel bad buffing, right? Like, so if you have a deflecto and that's your only mech and you're like, okay, and then you roll and then you find another thing, and then you're like, okay, I have these two and I have some filler alley cat or whatever, and
yeah.
then you just buff that. Like, that might be okay, right? And if you have no direction, you don't know what else you're doing, yeah, sure, that might get you top four, but you're not gonna win with that. Like, it's not enough of a broken mechanic. Sometimes it might not matter because you have your Cresser Lord to carry you, right? So you don't really care
Yeah.
what your board's doing because your Cresser Lord's gonna carry you. But if you don't have any of that and you're just grabbing this and you don't have two of them or anything, it doesn't really save your game. And that's really my issue with it. Uh, Fundamentally, like
No, I think it's the vibe of the one Cali stuck on tier 5. That's what I'm feeling, right? It's going to be something like that. It's going to be stuck buying neutrals, selling
and
neutrals.
it like the one Kelly even has like that saving grace of, oh, I hit the Nadina and now I'm like kind of good tempo, right? So
Yeah,
uh,
you could argue that this one can just be like, oh, I have a Cyclone Hydra and insert really good minion
yeah,
attack.
I know that you don't. There's no like immediate like crazy power spike from tripling into a six. Like there's nothing that like, ooh, I get double stronger because I hit something synergistic
Another one of these calls. Come on,
here. Yeah,
man.
then
The
you
real
need like so much more space too, right? Like
Well,
it's
the problem with that is that you are creating a situation where you're really vulnerable to Leroy Manted as well, because everything is piled up on 3 minions,
on a couple of minions.
which
They
which is okay if you play 2 Leroys and 2 Mantids of your own, right? But you got to be on 6 for that. So, like,
well,
I'm fine with piling stats as long as you can replace them, right? So as long as you have the 7
yeah.
ready, as long as you have the Leroy ready.
End game, you never keep this minion, which I think is already bad. You know what I mean? Like Kali, you can keep, right? At this all the scaling stuff, you keep them at the end because they're big enough. But here, you can't keep them. It doesn't scale by itself, right? So maybe
Yeah.
if you gave this some type of scaling, like you don't have to make it a minion type per se, but um, if it's
We
scaled in itself,
Didn't we see this with Chaga, where Chaga for a while wouldn't buff itself anymore?
yeah, yeah, and it was quite bad.
Yeah, it's still not insane, but it's now like you can pick Tralga and be okay
Yeah.
with it. So I think that is indeed a big determining factor. It's so bad if you gotta. It's kind of like the Elise where you have to like keep the minion on your board that doesn't have good combat.
Yeah.
But then you look at the two effects and you're like, oh, I'll prefer the 4-drop here over the 6-drop, please. I'll prefer to like pull a 1 or 2 6-drops per turn instead of having the option to buff my board with neutrals. So yeah, that is interesting.
Would making a tyrant tier lower be a lot better? It would. You see, that might be too strong.
Yeah,
It's so funny how we're like oh, this card unplayable, and then like, oh, make it a tier lower. That's broken. It's like very instant reaction of like, no, you can't do
yeah.
that because it is a good effect, right? And you don't want to have like it too accessible, right? Because then the game is like, let's just find this because it's OP where it's at, right? Like
Like
at tier
what,
five, it
what
would go
what that would enable is you can sit on tier 4 after you've tripled into this.
into this,
And
yeah,
then you're on tier 4 and you're buffing a Deflecto and a Hydra and you never take any risk and you're just sitting on tier 4. And this is a big one. We haven't even talked about this. Toxfin is back. So tier 4 gaming is going to be very much possible again, where you can find Amalgam on tier 4,
hmm,
well, tier 3, but
right,
like
yeah,
you can find Module on tier 4, you
yeah,
can find Toxin on
yeah,
like I can make 2 perfect Amalgadons on tier 4, man.
yeah,
So yeah, like tier 4 gaming is already going to be more accessible. So being able to triple into this thing and then just like literally stay on tier 4 the whole game and just roll for drugs
yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
The problem with
It's-
like the tier four is like you need the very specific Murlocs have to be in and mechs
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
be
you
in,
need to
right,
see.
which is a
Well,
bit
I
different.
mean, you'd be okay without the mechs, I'd say, right? Just like being able to make 2 poisons and then just do things, and
I'd be
because
okay
you can.
without the Murlocs. I want the divine shields,
That's fine.
but
Well, I'd be
I
looking.
see what you're saying because of like you just open up the 6-2, the Leroy, right?
Yeah, but you just roll selfless at that stage, right? And you can.
Sure,
For me, the poison is more important because then you can still play Blaster Baron and just kill their shits, right? You kill their shields and Leroys and stuff,
that's fair.
and then your selfless poison,
You're
shields your.
more of a poison aficionado
I'm
than I am,
I
for sure.
you should see my dude. I played a game that was insane. You would love it and hate it at the same time.
And if I would love it and hate it, then I hate it. Don't even don't even pretend.
Oh, you would love the start, Collins. Though I went tier 6 on
Okay.
turn 6.
And
Hell,
what are you playing?
I'm playing Phelan. I'm in a prize lobby.
Oh,
I
and
hit the
fives.
coin.
Okay, okay.
I have an Orgazoa, Collins. So I have an Orgazoa on tier 6 on turn
And
6,
then
baby.
somehow you're playing Murlocs at the end.
And I'm playing 7 points cap, and I won the lobby. Let's go. I couldn't hit it. I couldn't. I was like, "Where is the scaling? Where's the sir?" I couldn't find it, so I had to go seven, right? But I had this. I had it was perfect scam.
don't love me.
I was like two two poison divine shield amalgams. It was just like golden selfless golden baron. It was like, oh, it's so such a good scam comp. So that's what I said. You would love to start, and you'd be like, no, Shady, no,
you,
no,
you've
no, make the
messed
numbers bigger. What are you
you've
doing?
messed
Make the
up.
numbers bigger.
Doesn't even count.
All right. Doesn't count like a win. Take that
Yeah.
man's MMR away right now. Like he
Uh,
didn't scale.
fair
All
enough.
right. Anyways, was there anything else? Oh, I guess we can
Yes,
talk about what's removed, right? Yeah.
yeah, the
Sure.
minion updates. So there's Trickster, like the Trickster and the Imprisoner. We did talk about it last
Yeah.
podcast, but they're just Icky Imp was too good with the Death Rattle reward, and then Trickster is too strong on tier 1, and I agree with both of those. Enforcer being moved from tier 3 to tier 4. Don't really
That's hard to watch.
understand. Like, I don't know.
I think that's a reaction to the new dragon because shielding an enforcer is also pretty insane, right? So if on tier 3 you can roll the divine shield dragon and shield your enforcer, like it insta gets +2/+2 for itself.
Yeah,
Moving the
I
and,
guess. I do think Enforcer is like a weird dragon. It's one of the weirder
combo,
dragons.
pretty much, right?
Where like it's kind of playable, but also like very weird sometimes, right? And then it's like so broken with um
George.
George, right? You know what I always thought was hilarious? Like even before Prester was removed,
Yeah.
George always did the best in Dragon lobbies. Even before Prester was removed, and
Mm.
I was like, yes, it's every time we hear, I don't play George and Dragon. I'm like, you should. Like, that's the best thing.
Should,
Like, cause Enforcer is such a good card that you can get early enough that it saves
yeah.
you.
And if you have Prester issues, you're usually like top 3
Yeah,
already, right?
you're already solved. Yeah, so I was always like, dragons
And
are
then,
in. I'm playing Georgias, and then and I always thought it was funny because it's like kind of weird.
no,
Uh,
that it's counterintuitive. That makks sense for sure.
um, but Toxfin's returned to the pool, so we talked about it, right? Toxfin, SI out, but Toxfin's in. I don't really care, but I do think, like I saw on like the Bob's Tavern, like a lot of people were happy about this change.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big change. It's a massive
It
change.
is a big change. And I do think like SI Fin had like the issues of you, you can get SI Fin and then like stop thinking about like what else to do because you're like,
Well, yeah, you don't stop thinking,
yeah,
but
I
yeah.
know, but
Well,
like,
I guess it depends on how well you know the routine. If you know the routine really well, like you know. So the thing with Sephin right now is that you even if you have a brand and you're buffing, as long as you're not going to be really big, you're really looking for certain brain points. It's like, okay, I need to be able to survive Blaster
Blaster, yeah,
Baron. So it's like give them like 9
9
health, 10.
health, yeah, and then
Like
it doesn't matter.
yeah, more than that is kind of wasted. So you just learn to roll past the gurgles when you have a brand on your board. Like
Not
sometimes,
me, not me.
yeah, sometimes, sometimes you'll buy it. It depends on where you are at in the scam, right? It
Yeah,
depends on how much. But this is what made my scam games way better. It's like learning to just not buy Murloc buffs and hard roll for Selfless Blaster Baron because that's such an insane setup. If you have Golden Selfless Blaster Baron 4 poisons, that
yeah.
beats almost anything that's stat related. Anyways, that's like you said, right? That's not going to be a thing anymore. You're not going to like hit the 7 poison scam, protocol initiated, like only buying selfless now, etc. The the way how this impacts boards is that you can now module your amalgam and then poison it afterwards.
Gonna
Like
have that more.
that is a big deal. Now, Leroy is a card, so that's what keeps those amalgams in check, I would say. Um, so that's probably the main thing where
I
it
don't
might.
know if that like it's gonna be the counter, right? Because first of all, you have to buy it. And some people don't buy it. I know she shady always buys it. There are some
Leroy,
players that are like, Leroy, let me skip that. Let me roll past that. And
yeah.
they're gonna struggle. Those people, they're gonna have a bad time. And another thing, like, it's not like it's the only taunt you're gonna have on the board, right? So there are other taunts that you're just gonna run.
I mean,
Um,
a lot of the time it'll be the only one. I'd say you need to go
well,
out of your way because Argus isn't a thing anymore. So you have to taunt them one sparring partner at
but
a
the thing is, like, mantids are in too, right? And if you're running
time.
amalgam divine shield, like mantis is just like very free to add if you have
Yeah,
two
that is
amalgams.
very good, but you do need to get to it, right? And a lot
Yeah,
of the time,
sure.
if you're playing this, it's going to be either tier 4, tier 5. I
Yeah,
don't think it's going to be.
but the problem is most likely at max you're getting two Leroys, you know, at
Right.
max. And if they have four divine shield poisons,
Wait, you're talking double mantid,
double
double
mantid,
amalgam.
double amalgam, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm just saying that it's probably hard to get the mantids if you're doing the amalgam thing.
hey, we'll figure it out, shit.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
don't worry about that,
no,
right now. Especially
the
with Elise in that Elise golden
sure,
monkey, like
no,
you're gonna get it.
that is true. That is true. If you can force triples with the golden monkey, it's easier to get mantid queen. The point I was going to make is that with Sephon, you don't have to spend money chasing the Toxfins.
Yeah,
So something we will see now is that you're going to be less likely to level because you did like, oh, I need to spend my money rolling. I need to like buy Tads and Prime. Well, maybe not Tad, but Primal Fin you'll buy for sure. Toxfin you'll buy for sure. So those are two cards you're really heavily rolling for because you need to make sure you get enough poisons on the
I'm
board.
thinking about stuff in my head and I don't want to like reveal it. So I'm just
Secret strategy.
I'm just keeping it to myself here. But yeah, you do make a good point that
Costs gold now, right?
it's gonna cost gold, so it might be slower, but that doesn't mean like you can't get the setup. And at best, like people can have four, like maybe more, but very likely four, three or four, and then you only have two Leroys at best. And if they have like an extra taunt as well, like just one extra taunt, right? Like they could go
Yeah.
into a genie, right? And then your next Leroy hits some random thing, right? Hits one of them, and then they still have three Divine Shield poisons, right?
Yeah,
And
it
that's gonna
definitely
murder you.
increases the value of putting a decoy up. Yeah, like right now, I already buy sparring partners to like, let's say I'm playing Quillbore and I get this massive dynamic duo. Like I know I'm buying all the taunts,
Yeah.
right? I want to taunt my Charlie, I want to taunt my Dark Gaze, just
So
you know, try to
I
protect it.
I do think like Leroy might not be enough. Is this issue?
To keep the very accessible Poison Divine Shield
Yeah.
amalgam in check. I mean, yeah, okay, that's fair.
Um. Anyways, Cookie's gone. I'm so surprised they didn't mention that, like to me. I'm so surprised.
It's
That,
funny, right? Here I am on the podcast being like, "Oh, so the tavern buffing things works with Cookie, I
yeah,
guess." And you're looking at me like, I don't know. We didn't play with Cookie because we
yeah.
didn't allow. Sure, Shady. It should work. It should work just fine.
I am shocked. Yeah, like I'm so glad it's gone. I think the card is mega toxic. So I'm surprised I didn't mention anything about Cookie here. But yeah,
Yeah.
this thing being gone really good. I think it was just too hard to balance. And isn't that nice? You have a problematic card / hero, and you can just remove it. Like that is such a cool feature to have in your game. But yeah, just super happy about it. I don't know how you solve the issue. Like one thing I think would have been okay is like you up the tavern tier of it, so you make it like a lot harder to find. The problem is like it just becomes like a weird card in every other situation.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
bottleneck was the gem
a
transfer
gem
most of the
transfer.
time
Yeah,
anyway. And that wasn't tier 4, right? You want
and
to make
sometimes the Nomi stuff, but it wasn't as like
yeah,
Omega
that was
broken. Yeah, it wasn't as toxic.
when you're doing well with Nomi, you're already in a good
You're
spot.
kind of fine. Yeah. So I don't think that was the bottleneck. Was definitely the Quillbore.
The nasty thing really, it wasn't even when somebody was high rolling Dark Gaze and then made their board stronger. It was when you saw someone camping with like a golden splitter on tier 4 and they have like 100 deflector and you're like, what? That's so like, what? You never left tier 4. What the fuck, right? But they just rolled like, 3 Necros, 3 cookies, and they're like,
Yeah.
well, my deflectors are 100 right now. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a problematic card. So happy to see that gone. Steward of Time, I felt like he just put in like randomly. Yeah,
You will be here until we find a better dragon.
yeah. It really didn't make too much sense. So that would make sense. Booblet. I'm so like, I've been very against Booblet, but now like they have a reason to be right with all the eating on one that you can do
Yeah.
and two early.
Okay.
It just makes sense to remove that huge stat line.
I was coming around to the blood
I
in like the last 2 weeks. Yeah.
I wasn't, but I kind of wanted to try eating in a booblet with my demons.
Right.
I was kind of okay with that. This does nerf Vol'jin and a Mutinous, so those two are gonna be a little bit sad about that. But I didn't really play them too much anyway, so I don't care. So yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, Mutinous and Vol'jin like what the demons are doing right
Yeah.
now anyway.
Yeah,
So
they-
they're probably not going to be too
Yeah, they're
sad.
probably not. Yeah, they're probably not gonna be like super crying. Silverback Patriarch is gone.
Thank you.
Rest in peace, Harambe.
Yeah, pretty much.
We remember you, but
Too good for this game.
it didn't make sense. To be fair,
It was really -1 minion on tier 1.
yeah,
Really, that's what it felt like.
yeah. It was also weird because there was now 3 beasts on one, right? Which is
Yeah.
not a common thing.
really like I didn't do tier one cookie stuff all nearly as much since the introduction of like Biblet and Patriarch, just because it used to be like I eat two elementals, I get a guaranteed
That's
Selly, right?
something, yeah.
I eat two beasts, I get a guaranteed cat. So that made tier one cookie kind of okay with some starts. But since they made that less reliable, I never, I didn't do it anymore.
Very true. AKM's gone because of the
Death
synergy
Rattle.
with Death Rattles, and then Overseer and Devour are gone because they needed space. Briny was gone. I
Yeah,
liked Briny. I was a
and
Briny fan.
that was one of the big reasons to go three on
They'd
three.
go
Like that
through,
was
yeah.
high roll, right? You
But
hit
I mean,
Brand.
they replaced it with a lot more reasons to go
Yeah,
three on
you
three.
got
So,
it's called Pip now, the 4/5. So
yeah.
that's a new Briny then, I guess. But
But
does a different thing, but you're still snapping it
I
for
was
a
a
sec.
Briny fan. A big. I like free goat, so give me free goat every turn. Yeah, I'm down.
Free money good, Peppa G. Okay.
Sad to see it go. Zerus though is gone. Very very happy about that. Card was so mega toxic. You know,
Yeah, super dumb.
yeah. I want to reiterate, not a fun card for high level players. Fun maybe if you're having fun or not messing around. Don't care if you lose, but like just the person's on tier 3 with a dark gaze. Like
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my god, like like the game's over for me. Like I can't win this. It's just not cool. So happy to see that. Skillbane, I think,
Long overdue, I would
yeah,
say.
didn't fit any strategy. I think this is the best way to say it.
Like this card was bought when you were on 2 gold and you had to sell a card and buy a
And
card.
by it, yeah.
That's when you bought Scalebane. When you were really out of options and you're looking at the shop and you're like, the 5/5, I guess?
Ooh,
Question mark?
they
Yeah.
must have like win rates on when you buy the card, and I bet this is one of the lower ones. Like
Like plummets, right? Like maybe not because the card is so
that,
bad,
yeah.
but you would buy the card. The fact that you buy the card means you don't know which cards are good, right? So that's less likely for you to win.
Yeah. Witch Ring kind of sad, but it also makes sense when you look at some of the changes. Like stolen gold with this is just like, yeah, like stolen gold is so easy to trigger. By the way, right? And then you have Witch Wing. It's like, gain 10 gold. Like, what
Yeah,
is this?
like once again, can still do light spawn, can still do
Yeah, you could, yeah.
Doomsday. But I get it.
But like gaining 6 gold is very
That's pretty
different
much
from gold on Light Swan.
the best
Like,
ones.
yeah. Mithrax is gone. I wonder what your thoughts on that was.
I really like
I
Mithrax as
know.
a card, so yeah, I don't like it when it goes. Like it's just one of the big reasons to go for a 5 drop. Like the fact that Mithrax is in every game makes it so that it's almost never, like unthinkable to go for a 5, right? Like, yeah, so whenever I'm like playing Reno, I'm always thinking, okay, keep an extra type in case I hit the Mithrax, right? It's always in the back of my mind. So kind of sad to see it go. I'm not sure if it was a balance thing
It's
or
being
just
replaced by the blue shell shady. So they were like, what, 5 drops? You know what they need? A 4/4, a 4/7 with no ability to fight. that's that's
yeah.
what we need here. Yeah. So that's
Yeah, I mean, they probably have a good reason, right, to remove it. So just saying, like, I enjoyed playing with Mithrax. I like the card. Like,
I
it's super solid triple early.
I wasn't as I played it more 100% because of you. Like it's like, oh well, Shady thinks this card's good, and I can see why. I guess I'll take it, that kind of thing. But like other than
And
that,
then
I'm
you
just like, I don't care.
instantly lose, and you're like, "Fucking shady, man." I'm never playing Mithrax again.
Any reason to be like that for sure.
Yeah, okay.
And then SI Fin also being removed for the Toxfin makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, man.
Those are the changes. Almost three
So
hours.
that's a big one. Yeah, I mean, we kind of expected it though. Under 3 hours, chat. That's a speed run for patch this time. Dude, like the warm up took 45 minutes, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I know. So it's actually like a real, like it's like a normal discussion. We just have that 45 minutes at the front.
yeah, the first 45 minutes of the podcast were dedicated to the monetization changes and
Yeah.
just perks and stuff in
Yeah.
general. Whew.
Any final thoughts on this? You know, we don't have to dilly dally. You can find us on Educated and Shady wherever.
Yeah. The final thoughts is that I'm excited to play. Looks really a lot like it's going to be broken, right? Some things are going to be broken.
Yeah.
It's almost unavoidable, right? You change this many things. There's so many variables. Something's going to be broken. So I would just say embrace the chaos, embrace the mayhem in the very first days. Yeah, some shit's going to be crazy, but you can do it too, right? So just lean into
Yeah.
it.
See,
Lean
see,
into
see.
it.
The problem with the problem with like things are crazy, but you can do it too. Is that there's 8 players and only one of you. You know, So what's the chance you're the one that gets it? It's not that high. So you want things to be balanced so that you can outskill them to balance and not be like
Sure.
I hit the stolen gold, so I win, like that kind of thing.
My counter argument is that for players that play a lot, right, or at least listeners to the podcast that are going to put in the time in the first days, just enjoying it. Yeah, there's 8 of you, but if you know what's good, you're going to lean more towards it, and the chance that you get it is higher than the others.
Yeah,
So you can still make a difference, but yes, I agree. Once everyone catches up, everyone knows
yeah,
that you need Chroma and Cookie or whatever.
yeah.
It's gonna be more of a, "Oh, I didn't get it, and they
You
got it,"
you
type.
want the things that are good to be more obscure or
That's obvious,
complicated.
right? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true, that's true.
yeah.
You don't want it to be like the giant I win button that people
Yeah,
just get up
you don't
like,
want
"Oh,
a minion that just like you win the game if this survives 5 turns. Like you don't want like everyone's just buying that. Uh,
shit."
I mean, there are minions that have that as their text. It's just a different wording.
It's like the Legion Overseer and the Elise should be like, "Ooh, buy me,
Yeah.
buy me, buy me."
Well, yeah, I do agree. I am excited to play. Like, just playing some of it. Like the board states you like the it's definitely power creep from what we have right now. It's way stronger, and the board states are very different, right? Because you can have situations where things that don't have divine shield get divine shield. You can have things where stats can be swapped around. You can have a lot of goldens. You can have minions with like weird stat values, like very weird stat values. Just due to some of the how the quests work. You can have like 2 omega broken minions if you and double them and things like that. You can just minions having +15/+15 like that can do some things. So there's definitely a lot of unique board states, power creep, but it does look fun and interesting. At least initially, right? That's how it always is, and we'll have to see what they do with the balance afterwards. I think that's going to be the biggest test for them. Like, oh, what are they looking at and whatnot, and as well as the heroes as well. I do think they should be taking a harder look at balancing the heroes since they want to make sure that the heroes are more of an option than you're forced to have four, right? Like if they're really committed to that
Right. I
philosophy, they
That is, while I agree with that on a theoretical level, I think practically speaking, because of what we mentioned
it's
for,
impossible. I know, I
yeah, for
know.
IMMR players, like I would be so incredibly surprised if they get the game to a point where I don't really change my win rate if I get the perks or not. Like I also don't think that we should expect that.
Yeah, but I want them to at least be looking
Yeah.
at it.
Oh,
Like don't give up immediately because it's like, oh, it's
yeah.
impossible.
No, no. I mean, and there have been some successful reworks, but especially with how fast new heroes are being introduced, and then of course the restraint of, oh, we can't make it too strong in low MMR, like we talked about Flurk. You're Yeah, you're going to have a lot of heroes when you're a high MMR player. The chance that you open up, your two heroes are garbage. It's very high. So yeah, I don't think that's going to be an option anytime soon
Yeah,
for
but
high players right now.
I want them to try. I know you're failing. You're trying to use a bucket to solve the lake, but I try. That's your job apparently. So I want to see it.
I
Um,
think they are trying, Collins, but yeah, I get it. I get the sentiment. That's fine.
yeah.
Well, I mean, with this one, let's say Vander and Drek both become pretty good. That's a good one, right? Like that's two heroes in the pool that you don't mind playing, assuming they're good.
It's a lot of assumption, but yeah, it's possible. I mean,
All right.
I do think you could like, you know, buddy rework all the heroes. You know what I mean? Like not like
Sure.
how all the heroes got a buddy. You could do that for all of the current heroes. Like make a small adjustment, and I wouldn't be like, oh my god, like they're changing everything. I'm like, okay, finally. You know what I mean? That actually be my reaction. Like, it's like,
You reworked like 80 heroes.
yeah.
It's about fucking
It's
time, right?
about time, yeah.
Oh, Colin. All right, wrap it up, man. Wrap it up. I gotta
All right.
go.
Thank you guys for joining us here. Today we've got our you can send us feedback at HSBG podcast at gmail.com. You can find us at Educatedcollins and Shady Bunny Twitter and Twitch, as well as YouTube and whatnot. We do have the dev interview on the YouTube already, and this will go out after the stream's over. And take care. Thank you for having us again, and we'll see you next week. Yep.
See you guys. Yeah, trade down. I didn't want to do that. I swapped out of it halfway. Anyway.
You were in a maid outfit?
Yeah, don't ask. It's like it's not really a bet, but it feels like a bet with shots. I make bets with shots, basically. Yeah.
I see.
I see. Yeah.
I've really missed. It's on your VOD. I'm gonna get.
All right. 50 people running in my VODs to check that shit.
Let's go, guys.
Let's go.
I need some clips. Right. I need some clips, guys. All right.
All right. I'm gonna head out. All right, chat. Have a good one. Good luck in your game, Collins, if you're playing.
I don't need luck. I don't care whether I win or lose.
All right.
I've told
Have fun.
Thank you. Now you're starting to understand. That's what I want to hear.
Enjoy the process of potentially winning and potentially losing. It is completely irrelevant, the end result of
there we go. There we go.
That's better. All right, cool. Have a good one, man. See you.
All right, take care.